late. You're not late nor early. You arrive exactly when you intend to.
People should be able to hear us. Okay.
Oh, apparently don't download that cool update from OBS right away.
I did already.
Okay.
We're live right
Because
now.
apparently it breaks a whole bunch of plugins.
Stream Deck has a plugin on the website. You just have to go install it. I did it before
Yeah.
the show.
Okay, so as long as you
And it
don't have
breaks
any
virtual
other...
cam, but there might be a new virtual cam, and also virtual cam is a trap. Just add another window capture for Discord for your own camera, and then you never need to use virtual cam because virtual cam sucks.
Oh, I don't even know what virtual cam is. So
it makes your OBS output into a webcam device on your computer.
Oh.
But it's very CPU intensive.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
It lags a little bit. It's got some funky stuff. Anyways, they can hear us and see us and whatever. Edel, is your mic volume down or further from your face, or is it? Just want to make sure.
I should pull this a little closer too.
Should be good.
That is better. Yes. Okay.
I've been matching my volume to you two anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figure.
Oh, we're not on my channel. Why did I go to my channel? I apologize in advance.
It'll be fun.
I may be more ADHD than normal. I apologize.
It's all right. It's part of your charm.
Yeah. I mean, I did take my morning dose in the afternoon, so I don't know what the hell that's going to do to me. So I'm just, I'm just going to be...
I think this has been my first week in years of actually getting my proper dose.
Oh. How has that been?
The patch is kind of irritating, but
like
the physical patch. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to use very specific language in this context. But you're not wrong either way.
Yeah. Yeah, the Battlegrounds update was very itchy. It was weird.
No, the Battlegrounds update has been sweet.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably played more Battlegrounds this week than I have in like the past 6 months.
I'm already at 4K.
Yeah, I'm only at 2K because I decided I was going to try to make Quest Hunter work today. That didn't go well.
Why?
THL.
Thank you, Mr. Bungalow.
I'm so glad. I'm just captioning and not playing right now.
Yeah. Well, my problem is finding a 4th class, and because I'm allergic to Rogue, so. And we so my oldest has gotten through the Gamer Girl rite of passage and started playing Bayonetta today.
I haven't played that, but I should.
The first one's on sale on Humble for $5 right now.
I think I picked it up for an emulator a while back, but at this point, I don't think I have that running.
Yeah, I mean $5 on Steam, to have it on Steam is not bad.
Yeah.
I think it's on Switch.
The 2 is a Switch exclusive.
That would probably be better.
Yeah, 2 is a Switch exclusive. It's just not on sale there right now.
Mm-hmm.
But she got 2 from the library. And then I saw that 1 was on sale on Steam. So I'm like, okay, do you want this for $5? Like, yes, please. So, okay, fine.
Yo, Emily, those are good stats. But yeah, they put a roguelike in the game, so of course I like it.
Kedishin it did, but she got it from the library. So, like, it actually had the piece of paper that has the code on it. But she tried it, and someone had already used it, shockingly. So, that didn't quite work out for her. Because she texted me, and she's like, yeah, look what this has. I said, well, you may as well try it, see what happens. She's like, yeah, it's been used. Okay. Somebody got a free gift from borrowed from the library. But,
Yes, quests are extremely fub.
Wait,
what is fub? That's
what Lupton said in the chat.
Okay.
Oh.
I've been having a lot of fub.
Okay.
I don't know how else to say it. Jakerek, the last game I played, I just didn't know what to do and then died. But yes, I did pick Sinstone on Elise. That was very skillful of me.
I had the most absurd leaper game I think I've ever done.
Oh, yeah, you too?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I had leapers on Wonder Ball or whatever the refresh dude is.
So I was playing Lich King and I got a very quick the golden one.
The
Or it makes your two
Oh, okay. It makes the two on the
Oh,
outside.
stolen gold. Stolen gold is
stolen gold.
I don't know the
It's-
names for anything.
yeah. Stolen gold, I'm not sure if it's busted or if just easy quest rewards are too easy to get online. Like, it's what I
Possibly.
think. We'll talk about it, obviously, but I think if they just squished everything to the middle, it would probably be more fun. Because right now it seems like just pick the
Yeah.
left one, probably. Usually I just pick the left one.
I don't know about that. I mean, there are times
always.
where like even the hard one you can complete pretty quickly. It just sort of sometimes it's a get lucky in terms of what you're already doing kind of thing.
I'm
But
gonna be back in 2 seconds because I need to turn my AC down because I'm already like turning into a ball of flame. So I'll be right back
That's
in 2
fine.
seconds.
Do your thing.
but it is gross when like the turn that people get them, someone has it online, and you're like, wait a minute.
Let's see here. I have this. I have this.
Yeah. I mean, that game ended like initially I was using the stolen gold for its golden effect, and then I was just crushing people and killed everyone else who was trying to do beasts, and my entire board was golden anyway because that far
Yeah,
ahead.
stolen gold sucks when you have 7 goldens, but then, like, okay.
But
It's
that's
Yeah.
because
It's
you
fine.
got an early lead. I think
Yeah.
it's like exceptionally good for beasts because
Yeah.
it wants exactly that positioning.
Yeah. It's I had one of the more fun games I played was a second place where Illidan, I had Illidan stolen gold. And so when I
Oh
put
God,
Oh,
that's gross.
so what I did, I actually went. It was a super weird comp. I'll tell the story in the show. I'll save it for the podcast, so you don't have to hear it twice, because the listeners are here, listening, watching, both. Okay, I have all the pictures loaded. There's
I
got
have-
to be some way to like. I have to figure out how to make it so I can just thumb through a folder of pictures. Is there a source that does that? Image slideshow.
Yeah, Image Slideshow lets you use page up, page down to do it.
Hmm.
That's what I used to use for the card reviews. You have to set up the hotkeys in settings, though.
That's dumb.
I mean, it takes you like 2 seconds to do it once, and you never have to worry about it again. But,
But I want it now.
well, I'm sorry. You're actually gonna have to,
let me go. Let me go. The
do a
listeners
minimal
are
amount of
very
work for that.
patient. Listeners are very patient. Let me go do that. Do. Put this here. Maybe it'll do some auto resizing. Because the thing that takes me the most time is
yeah.
just like setting up all the images.
Yeah, I mean, and pro tip, just do a 3-digit number as the beginning of the file name to get them into the right order in the directory. Then you can just
Getting
add it as the
fancy here.
directory, and then they just show up.
Okay.
oh, Matt, you're doing Denathrius wrong.
What am I doing?
I think I got Denathrius and immediately got first. Like you
Well,
pick an easy one for an early lead and then a hard one.
Oh yeah, I recognize that I did it wrong because I died without finishing either quest. I'm like, I probably should have done something different. Probably.
I got the one time I got Denathrius, I hit the reward where at the end of your turn, each of your minions gets plus attack for all your minion types. And that's a permanent attack buff.
Oh, that's permanent.
It is.
Oh,
And then I got the other one where you get a light fang and your end of turns trigger twice.
oh, that's pretty good.
Okay.
I can never
So-
I always blank on like what I want when I get the end of turn triggers twice. Once, because like I just
end
like,
of turn effects mostly.
Well, yes, that
Velbat,
is in fact what I want.
Charlie, Light Fang, Murkai was the one I got today, and Murkai is obviously gross.
I think I had Mex and I was blanking on what the hell I want for Mex. I don't know if there's anything.
There's gotta
not.
be.
For mechs,
I mean, I guess
there's not.
Lifang would work, but
What is the end? I don't know. I'm bad at BGs.
Yeah, and
Jay
end
Correct
turns
says
are
I'm not
basically
bad at BGs.
Menagerie or
Iron Sensei. We
Bloodborns.
working that
I mean,
hard
I
for
know
an
that
Iron
demons
Sensei.
have like the
Yeah,
fell, the
okay,
fell wing
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah,
I guess Iron Sensei and
I
mechs,
guess
but
that
like
I guess technically that's an end of turn effect.
you would want to get that pretty quickly though.
Yeah.
I mean, I just went full Menagerie because the double end of turn effects doubled my other quest reward as well.
Oh
So
yeah. I figured out the 2 battle cries with Murlocs. That one I was able to figure out. Yeah, just took the Toxfin.
Bogurgle
I
and
was
other
good at-
Bogurgle.
No, Toxfin.
Also good. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Little SI Sephon.
Yeah, so I had Toxfin and Swolefin. So I just had one big dude and Toxfin, and just gave my whole board poison.
Sounds
know
like
if I won that
a
game or I
weird buddy
came in
cop
second.
movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is set up.
I'll save my coolest one for when we're recording.
Okay.
Although I guess
Um,
we should save for like much later in the show, right? If this is going to be our
we're gonna be talking about BGs all day because it's all I've been doing, and I'm guessing it's all YouTube been doing.
Yeah. Aside
did
from,
stream some standard.
well, I played some standard earlier in the week. And then I got to 500 and camped, so.
Oh yeah, start of turn, Terragosa. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a thing. Okay. I'm gonna write down next. We ready? I'm ready.
I was born ready.
Yeah.
Just tell me when you want me to press the button. I will press the button.
I have pressed it.
Okay. Then I will also press the button.
We all recording? We all good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You're making me jealous, Edel. You have to put on a blanket where I'm sitting here and like schwitzing my brains out over here.
It's because I didn't
Yikes.
sleep last night, so I have no body heat.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I don't
Raw audio
often have
listeners,
this one.
don't worry. I took a schwitz before the show, so we're fine.
Excellent.
Okay.
Wait, did you actually?
I was,
Or are
it
you
was a
making
pun based
Okay.
on a poop
all right,
joke.
All right, all right.
Very highbrow
I
humor.
wasn't
here.
sure if you actually go to the Schwitz. I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Leaving the house on a day
He's
off.
he's not old enough to go to the Schwitz. I don't think that he's allowed to use that language.
I
Unless he's
turned
at
the
least 20
air
years older.
conditioner off while we're doing the show. We're there. We're here. The sacrifices that I make for the audio and for the listeners. It's okay. It's okay. Ready? Are we recording? We good?
I'm recording. Of course I'm
Yes.
recording. I mean, would you want to miss this gold, this comedy gold?
Where did I put the show notes? Did I close? Oh, I'm in the show notes right. It's the tab in front of me. This is going to be fantastic. 3,
Oh, good.
2,
Oh, good. We're
1. See, I got confused because it's in dark mode, and I'm like, oh, I got to tab over to the docs tab. This is the only docs tab that's open. It's in front of me. There's a picture of a tweet in front of me. 3,
I mean, that's why you were confused.
2, 1. Starting the show in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Shadows hide you. I am listening. Our paths converge.
So good to see you.
Hail to you! Never lose hope.
Here, Fred Shaft.
I hear you. It has only begun. Fight on, Fred!
Hello and welcome to episode 359 of Coin Concede, a Hearthstone podcast. I'm not going to say that again. I said podcast and I was thinking Battleground, so I said padcast. It's just it's just gonna be an episode. It's so raw, the rawest. This is gonna be
you're gonna have
audio
so many
tartar.
You're gonna have so many
Edelweiss,
things to
you're
choose
gonna
from
see
to put after the music.
I'm marking the Great Wall of China in the audio. You can see it from space. You won't be able to miss it. Just look for all these markers. Just chop everything right before it. It'll be fine. Okay. It's the 8th wonder of the world. Hello and welcome to episode 359 of Coin Conceit, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Thursday, September 1st in the evening. From Gadsden, New York, it's me, Ridiculous Hat. From Nomergon, Ohio, it's Edelweiss.
Hello.
And from Northern Massachusetts, it's Wicked Good.
Hi.
And from where you are, listener, we have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Watchers, thank you for watching. Thank you so much, everyone, for leaving us reviews. Really helps other people find the show. And we have a new patron, a new producer, Ponius. Welcome back. Thank you so much for your support of the show. We really, really appreciate it. All right. Life, ladder, battlegrounds. Let's talk. And listeners, you're going to hear a lot about BGs this week because they did a new patch that made BGs the new thing, and it's really fun. And the standard patch isn't until next week. And it is... Of course, everyone's welcome to their opinion. I think we are all of the equal opinion that it is less fun than the current Battlegrounds patch. So, Edelweiss, how you doing?
Yeah, so I have really tried all kinds of different decks. Still feel like there's something just under surface there for Paladin, for Warrior, all these things, but I'm not sure that buffs are really enough for anything to really keep up with the late game powerhouses in Magister Dawn Grasp and Wild Heart Guff. So we'll see if those are part of the adjustments for next week. We don't know. But I'm happy to kind of get a freebie excuse to play some BGs with the new patch because it's pretty rad over there. And as much as I felt like I overstated the point last week that I don't really play BGs, I think it should tell people how fun it is right now that I'm playing a bunch of BGs.
I think all three of us, it has easily been our most played thing of the past couple days, and I'm guessing we've all put in a pretty good amount of playtime over there on that side.
I don't remember playing this much BGs when I didn't have to wait half an hour in line to play it.
Yeah, that first month that it came out, I played a lot, and yeah. This is, I think we're in that ballpark just in terms of what's going on. Yeah, I'm looking at the current patch, not counting mobile iPad games, which I can confirm is a number, probably not equal to this number, but on desktop computers, I've played 17 BGs, 7 hours, 46 minutes is what it says in here in terms of BG's time. At 4,500 at the moment. I would guess that's about right. I am on vacation this week. That's worth noting. I'm on vacation this week. I also did 4 hours of BGs on stream yesterday, which is, rather significant time investment. But I did a bonus stream, and the entire time that wasn't sponsored content was just BGs because I just didn't even bother with standard. I just wanted to jam the button more. It was fun. It was a good time. Yeah. Gosh, I guess it's my turn now. I've been playing BGs. I mentioned that already.
Through it. Yeah.
So, okay, I do have some ladder story. So on vacation, I find often that more time with the game sometimes isn't always a net positive for me. On Monday, I was at 1,100. Okay, let me just go lock in that 11x, win a couple games, get in top 1K in camp. This is Chekhov's MMR. We are taking it off the wall and firing it because I fired myself way down. It was a really rough day, and I ended up, I netted down 2-3 games or whatever, 1,500. Okay, I'll just play more tomorrow before my stream. Just play more tomorrow on Tuesday when the patch comes out. When the BG's patch, I'll just play some standard. 1,900. Okay. Well, I'll just play more on my stream. No, I'll play BGs. Okay, I'll just play more after my stream while I'm editing the Angry Chicken and just get myself back up there. So, drop down to 2,200 or so. 23-ish. This is early in the evening. Calm down's all right. I'm going to do one more attempt here just pick up Rogue instead of switching decks. I briefly picked up Enrageworks. I'm like, what beats Mage? What beats Druid?
Oh
and
God, no, that's not
Okay.
that's not the way you do it.
I went
No.
2 and 2 with it. It was fine, but like, I just stepped away for a bit. At the end of the evening, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do one more run with Rogue. Either we get there or we don't. Ripped off a great string of games. Had some really, really positive variants that worked my way. There were some variants that worked against me in the first run. The second run, the variants worked for me. You know, when my opponent Primordial waves my board as the Rogue into a Doomsayer and an Ajaran Defector to blow up everything in play, drop the Defector in the bottom, I shrouded it up, made a big minion. They did Bolner Crud Caretaker Muck Pools to make 2 3/5 taunts and a couple minions. And then I played the Defector, which sniped the other 3/5. I went face for exact lethal, including a 0 mana Sinister Strike that I discounted earlier with the Cutlass. Variants swung my way that game. I would maybe argue that variants had swung against me in prior games. I wouldn't argue that to that opponent. I'd just let them be. But, you know, that sort of thing. So I ended up getting right back to like 11-something. Barely made the 11x cutoff, I assume. Felt nice. Even with how many times I've made it, which has been every time but 2 since April of 2020, it still felt pretty stressful this time. And this always is what happens whenever I say, I don't really like the standard meta, but I want to make my 11x guaranteed. Every time it's always really, really close, or I whiff, and it feels awful the whole time. So it felt nice at the end when I won a bunch of games, but the overall experience was net negative. Battlegrounds, on the other hand, big net positive. Edel, you're going to say something.
Yeah, I slid back a bit further than you did when I was experimenting with various decks of, questionable playability. And I actually climbed some of that back from, I think I went as low as, or high? Whatever. I got to like 5, maybe 6 at one point. But I did climb back a bit with Aggro Demon Hunter, which was interesting. That eventually plateaued, but for a while I was on a bit of a tear, thinking like, oh, maybe this is pretty solid. It has some pretty good matchups. I think it's really good against Aggro Druid, because you're just so good at controlling the early board. I beat up on some Naga Priests as well. It's just anything that's yeah, Draco Cat's in the chat. Yeah,
You said
It
Demon
felt
Hunter,
good.
and he appeared out of the ether.
You didn't even have to say it 3 times. You only had to say it once.
Yeah. So I had some fun with that. And then once I got climbed up somewhat, I started struggling again, and eventually had to close out with a bit of Rogue, bit of Mage. I fall back on. There was a Mage by, I think, Nameless that included Aegwynn, and Mage with Aegwynn and Frozen Touch is basically where I like to be right now.
That's like catnip for you.
Yeah. So my sort of, I wanted to get, I feel most comfortable when I'm like somewhere in the between 1 and 2K range. And so once I got back under 2K, I was like, oh cool, okay, cool. I'm done. Go play BGs now.
Yeah. So I did that. I went and played BGs. I also played a bunch before. I had a story I was going to tell my co-host before the show, but I'm going to share it with you all, listeners. I mean, and the thing about this patch, about this meta, every game feels like a story you can tell, which is part of the reason that I like it. Because there's so many different cool things you can do. This particular story, it stood out to me because it didn't feel like a thing that I was like that. It didn't feel like a comp. It didn't feel like a build. It just felt like some goofy stuff that happened to work. So Illidan, his hero power, the left and rightmost minions +2 attack, and they boop in first at the start of combat, guaranteed before anything else happens. Doesn't use their regular attack as a bonus attack. I also had Stolen Gold, the quest reward that made your outermost minions golden. So the things goldify and then boop in. So the when I first got there, I had this weirdo comp that ended up turning into a divine shield comp, where the left minion was a selfless hero and the right minion was a gem splitter. And every single round, my hand filled with blood gems. I did not have any space. So eventually it got to the point where I didn't need the gem splitter to be golden anymore to fill my hand, so I turned the right minion into a bristleback knight, which started getting Mega Wind Fury when it turns golden, and pops its own Divine Shield twice. I was filling my hand anyways with blood gems. So it wasn't a win. It was a top 4, I don't know if it was a finals, it was a top 4 for sure. I don't know if it's something that people better than me can pull off. I don't know if there was a comp I could have pivoted into. I do know that it felt like you won't believe what happened, and that keeps happening in every single game I play, and I really like that we're just having roguelike battlegrounds. It's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I had a comp that somehow I got third with, where it was Tunnel Blaster, 2 Ghast Coilers, 2 Spawn of N'Zoth, a Golden Selfless Hero, and Baron Rivendare.
I can tell you how you got how you won that lobby, because you did all that stuff. That was how. Man, so the Tunnel Blast, all those were golden? Everything was golden?
No. Just the Selfless Hero and the Baron was golden. But
Okay. So the Tunnel
two-
Blaster
two
went
Ghast
off,
Coilers.
gave everything
Golden
Divine
Baron
Shield.
is usually enough to just
Yeah.
do whatever you want. Like the world's your oyster when you get Golden Baron.
I was
Yeah.
hoping to eventually get to that very old Exodia comp where it was like you back then it was a ghoul, but here Tunnel Blaster would sort of blow everything up, but then you would summon beasts and Goldrin would proc and they would all get. But I never found Goldrin.
The Rat Pack
and-
thing, yeah. Though I think
Yeah,
Baron
exactly.
also, I think Baron stopped working after it dies.
See, this was the thing. My quest reward was the give stealth and +8 at the end of each turn. So the Baron was big enough to survive.
Right, silly me. Pretty cool. Steve, how you
Yeah.
been doing?
Yeah, I'll start with my BG stuff, then I'll talk about everything else. But I had one today where I got, what is it? Wonder, the helpful refresh dude. I forget what the hell his name is.
Oh,
The Wonder
Wisdom Ball.
or what? Wisdom
Yeah.
Ball. So
The Khadgar orb.
yeah. So he gave me a shop that I already had a Baron. I was in full Leaper comp already. I'd already gotten like Reborn on like everything. Golden Reborn on everything, and then he hands me a shop with 2 Barons to add to my 3rd Baron with Divine Shield. And
Okay.
yeah, I won that game. That one I was able to win. I mean, getting all of the Leapers. I don't even think I had like the 6 cost. I don't know the names of anything in Battlegrounds. I'm sorry. I know the pictures. The wolf dude who
Goldrin.
gives your beast. Yeah, Goldrin. So I didn't even have that. I just had like, I had a reborn Leaper. I had a reborn Macaw. I think it might have had Divine Shield. I had like a Hydra that started at 15 because of an Uther, and I just steamrolled people. Like the things got so big, and it was like they didn't look that big at start, and then it just started going, and it was just like a perpetual motion machine. I just ended up with like 200 beasts. It was glorious. I did, before the patch came out, I did actually get into 11x. I got into just outside top 500 with Quest Priest. I started my stream on Monday night at like 8 something, and I basically started off the stream saying, I'm going until I drop below 1,000, and then it's duels time. This was before the BG's patch came out. Because like, I know myself, and I know that if I try to just kind of get myself back into a safe spot, it's not going to happen. I know there's plenty of people playing. I will play standard until I go below 1,000. It never got to that, because I played 18 games over that stream, and 9 of them were rogues, and I was playing Quest Priest, because of course I was. So that helped my MMR quite a bit. I also played against a Renathal Warlock, Curse Warlock, with Jiraxis.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Did you Renathal Quest
Not
Warlock
Curse.
Okay. Curse.
Renathal
okay.
Curse with
Renathal
Jiraxis.
Curse Warlock with Jiraxis.
Yeah. And they almost won. I needed to like tie. I was like hanging on by a thread, because like the 6/6s add up against a deck that wants to remove everything. Turns out Jiraxis is still okay. Not necessarily against like any normal deck in the meta, but against me, where I'm just sitting there not doing anything. It was actually pretty good. But I did end up finding the shard before they were able to 6-6 me to death.
Pretty
But
good,
yeah, I
except
ended
for
up.
how they lost the game.
Well, they didn't win, but it got close. It was respectable. It made Man at Arms happy, which is really
It probably
that's a
made
win in
you
my book.
happy as the priest
Well,
player.
I mean, I could have taken the Jiraxis off of an identity theft. I chose not to. I was a responsible adult, but I could have done that if I wanted to.
But the content.
I know, but I mean, the content was enough just having to face Jiraxis.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty special.
So I camped at I think I ended at 514 or something like that, which was very good for me. I mean, this meta, as miserable as it can be, it's just in my wheelhouse as long as I'm not running into ramp druids. Though I did try to play a couple games today, ended up running into a celestial druid, got both Bran and a 25 Denathrius for the total cost of 2 mana, and still lost that game. So yeah. that was a thing that happened today. But yeah, I also the Diablo season started on Friday, and that has been something I've been putting a bunch of time into. I played so Necromancer is the original Spooky Mage, because the Necromancer set in this that you get for free with the season, it just summons a bunch of skeletons that you just go and hit people, and then eventually you get a skill that when it wakes up, whenever your skeletons hit something, it erases the cooldown, and then all the skeletons just come from everywhere and just eat the guy, and then they die, and then you start over again. So it's kind of like having a little Kel'Thuzad every 30 seconds.
You were just playing as the Night King.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I was kind of like playing as a little like Kel'Thuzad, just kind of summoning all the skeletons, making them come back, and then, beating up whatever, and then, starting again. So I was actually playing as David S. Pumpkins, if we're being honest. But I couldn't find any orange gear. I actually tried. I tried to find orange gear to make my Necromancer David S. Pumpkins, but there is not any orange gear for Necromancer and Diablo. I know there's no Diablo developers listening, but if any of the Hearthstone devs are listening and are friends with any of the Diablo devs, can you please get some orange gear so I can make a David S. Pumpkins Necromancer, please? Thank you. Yeah, so that was a lot of my weekend. I end up I kind of tunnel on Diablo, and then it's 2 weeks of I get really into that loop, and then I get to a point where it just kind of okay, now I've done the thing, and then I'm done. So I'm still kind of in that loop right now, but it's fun. I like it. I'm looking forward to Diablo 4 when we get it, but Diablo 3 is still fun.
I feel like I'm at a place where I mostly enjoy playing Diablo with someone else at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember growing up, I used to play a paladin, and my brother would play a summoner Necromancer, so that way my auras would go to all of the summons. That was some nice synergy. And then in college, I had a friend who we would play together, but I don't solo Diablo as much anymore.
Yeah, we've had
I'm
some
more of
season,
a
yeah.
do the story and be done kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I do the adventure mode now within the seasons, because that's what it drives you to do. But there were a couple seasons when Maureen and I, because we both have Switches, and you can do couch co-op on the Switch, and you can actually so it'll let you with one copy, both people can play. So we've done some co-op together a couple seasons. But I get I mean, you know me, I min-max everything, and she's not really as into that. She made the mistake of asking the family to play Risk the other night.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wait, original or one of the recent ones where they make it only 5 rounds?
No, the original, I'm attacking Kamchatka Risk.
Don't do
I
that.
appreciate you putting the game on hold to come record with us.
Yeah. Well, no, I actually had to do it. I had to put it on hold for a coaching session. And I think they were happy because one of them started off attacking me and poked the bear, and one of the children, and they got a lesson in not poking the bear. So
I think the greatest innovation in Risks since the original was to cap it at 5 rounds and make it a victory point game, because it still takes 5 or 6 hours, but it doesn't take 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, it's more of a mitigated risk.
Yeah, I mean, one of the oldest took all of North America, and I had South America, and she overextended a little bit too much, and it got to the point where I was on one end of the table and she was on the other. She would walk over to roll, And then she's like, okay, I'm going back to see. No, we're not done yet. Don't go anywhere. I'll tell you when we're done. So yeah, that the game board is still up. I should probably take a picture of it. But yeah, I have like basically the entire like Western Hemisphere at this point. So
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
You know what else
Yeah.
sounds fun? You know how sometimes family can be a battleground? So can the news.
love can be a battleground.
It can't. There's a lot of battlegrounds out there. We're going to talk about the one in the game, though. So, you all ready for news?
Yeah, let's go.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Okay. Hold up, real quick. Hey, listeners. We promise we're keenly aware of the economy conversation and the economy concerns. Keenly aware. We want to make sure you know that we're aware of it, the concerns around paywalling and runestones, and really, I think that if you are engaged with the sphere of Hearthstone content at all, you've probably heard about this already. We have too. We've talked about it a lot. There are a couple things that we're going to touch on this episode. But in the grand scheme of things, we want to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the game. Doesn't mean that we're minimizing anyone's concern about the economy stuff. Doesn't mean that we're not aware of it. Doesn't mean that the conversation has stopped. Just that, honestly, having done a whole bunch of other podcasts this week, having listened to a bunch of podcasts, having been on social media all week, I don't think there's anything more to say about it that people don't already know. So, I will say, if you are buying in a currency that is not US dollars and foreign currencies, you probably know pricing is a little wonky. My co-host Jocelyn Carney over in The Angry Chicken, she gave a first-person account of that on The Angry Chicken yesterday, and I think that really she encapsulates a lot of where the discussion of runestones has left, what it has left after one day in the system. So I'm going to direct people there if you want a longer form discussion of Hearthstone economy, but right now we're kind of econned out. We had it's been all that anyone's been talking about for a week. We want to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the game. We'll mention this stuff when it's relevant, but it's not going to be something that we spend a lot of time on right now. Not trying to minimize it, not trying to make sure that people are unaware of it, because I imagine that everyone's aware of it. It's enough for now.
The only economy I want to talk about is in Bob's Tavern.
Exactly. However, before we can get there, we got to talk about the known issues lists. There are, unfortunately, some real doozies of known issues this week. So one of them has already been fixed. It's been somewhat significant. I thought that this was going to be a topic that we had to discuss extensively on the show, but it's not, because they fixed it the day after. If you had BG's weeklies in the core rewards track, top 4 BG, do 1500 damage, whatever, they just vanished. Because they moved those quests into the mission tab in BG's, and they got rid of them as options in the dailies. I assumed you just couldn't roll them anymore. They just actually disappeared. This was unintentional. They pushed a tiny, tiny patch yesterday, and the quest reappeared. So, hey, they fixed it. They didn't mean to take it away. You got your quest back. It was gone for a day. So that's what the tiny, tiny update was yesterday. Those quests came back. There is a much larger issue going on right now that, to my understanding, is very high priority for Blizzard, as you would expect. There is an issue right now with, I'll call them ghost lobbies. The symptom here, you will get to the end of your combat at some point, unless it happens before turn 1, which can happen. You will get to the end of your combat at some point, the rope will burn endlessly. When that happens, your lobby will never resume. You will quit out, you will come back, and you will get an endless reconnect prompt. Well, not endless, but perpetual. What's happening, I'm pretty sure, this is my amateur theory, is that all 8 players in that lobby are disconnected, and the lobby is playing itself out server side, and until it naturally concludes, you can't play Hearthstone on that account on that server, because your account is still in disconnect limbo. This means, later in the game, you might only be locked out for 5 minutes. Earlier in the game, it will take way longer, and I have heard stories of it happening on turn 1 or in Hero Select, where you just don't even get to buy your first minion, and because it's automatically resolving the lobbies, and if nobody has any minions, you're just waiting for turn limit. It can take over an hour. Those are extreme rare cases, but they are brutal because your account is locked out of doing anything. You get the automatic reconnect pop-up, and you can't reconnect. So, obviously, this is a huge, huge deal for everybody. Really puts a downer in the experience for anyone that's stuck in disconnect jail because you can't do anything. You can't fix it. You just have to wait. There's no real indication to it. And anyone that doesn't quit out, your rope burns forever. Forever. And then you get this disconnect thing. It will resolve itself in every case. Just a question of how long you have to wait. Those games don't count against your MMR. They properly don't show up. They don't resolve because they aren't, the games don't finish. But it sucks. So I know that LiveOps has been working on it nonstop. We don't have an update as to when this is fixed yet. Since it is server-side, I would imagine it'll just stop happening at some point. But right now, I think a lot of players are pretty justifiably unhappy about this. And you kind of get this disconnect roulette, like, is this game going to go? Or is this game going to stop? Happened to my wife once, hasn't happened to me yet. But it's a bummer, yeah.
Yeah, it happened to me when I had Hidden Body, which is the discover a minion after you do whatever endlessly. And something happened in the middle. I think maybe it was like summon X minions, and I ended up in a situation where I had finished the quest right as the rope was about to burn. And so it went through the animation, and then it showed me the thing to select, and then it never finished burning. So I don't know if that caused it or if that was just an unhappy coincidence. But yeah, that was like, oh, well, I guess I did it. I mean, I was kind of relieved because I'd already messed up my turn anyway. And now not really relieved because I kind of wanted to play and not have to find something else to do. But, that's why Diablo was there, I guess. But, other than that.
Yeah. It's unclear exactly what's causing it. The known issues post does indicate Brukan, Tavish, Finley, and Master Win have been temporarily removed from BG hero pools because they had a significant correlation with games where they were in and the disconnects. This hasn't fixed the problem. It's still happening. I don't think it's that frequent right now, but it doesn't have to be that frequent to completely ruin a play session or significantly damage it, because you just kind of have to sit there and think about what you've done by choosing to play BGs and then just wait for Blizzard to release you so you can either queue up again or do something else in the client. Or maybe you just close the client and do something else. So I know LiveOps is working on it. Obviously disappointing, hard to predict, unreliable. Hopefully it just goes away. But as of right now, there are 4 heroes that are not in the pool, and this could happen at any point in any BG. I will say, in the 8 to 10 hours of BGs that I played, it has not happened to me personally, and it has happened to my wife a single time, and then that was it. So I'm still playing a bunch, but I know for sure there will be one game where this happens to me where I probably just stop playing Hearthstone for the evening. I can foresee it.
The one thing that those all have in common is that they're discovering off the hero power.
Yep.
So, and, maybe that has something to do with it, especially given what happened to me where I had my discover at the rope and, maybe I broke the lobby, maybe I didn't, but maybe that has something to do with it. Some sort of a, discover rope, maybe somebody goes away if they're, Finley, and they don't pick their hero power and then, just let it go to the rope and then it just dies. That might be what one of some of the turn 1 disconnects were, if that's related.
Possible.
I'm
knows?
I'm completely speculating right now because I don't know how anything works. I'm sure it's something completely unrelated, but
I'm sure they don't know. I don't know. If
they knew it would be if they knew it would be fixed by now, right? So
correct.
Most likely.
So that's the biggest known issue right now. There are a few other ones. If you have the premium core rewards track, the constructed one, you will notice that the reward numbers, the experience numbers, they're green, but they're the non-boosted values. Just a visual bug. I tested it. You will get the full value for the experience, so you can complete your quests, but it looks strange. There are some old adventures where if you don't own every wing, you can't play them. I don't know how this got figured out on day 1, but if you're out there jamming Dalheist Wing 1, they're going to work on this for you and have it fixed in the next major patch, which is probably in about 3 weeks, but also can be fixed by owning the entire adventure. So I guess get some runestones if you want to play Dalheist right now. This is not me recommending that you do that, but I do think it's very funny that the solution is literally to buy it. Not planned. Kind of ironic.
Are we going to talk about the Deathborn thing too? Because that's not a bug, but that's a change in design.
We will, after I
Okay.
talk about the worst known issue that we have right now.
Okay,
Arguably
fair enough.
worse than the server bug. You cannot dismiss the journal notification.
Oh, yeah, that's
There is
crazy. That's
always
crazy
a
making.
red
Yeah.
exclamation mark.
Insanity.
So, I have a routine where in between games where I'm switching modes, I just leave Hearthstone. I just leave it there in the main screen. And on my right monitor, I have Discord. My left monitor, I have Twitter. And every time my eyes pan across the middle screen, oh, I better check my notification there and clear that achievement. Can't do it. I have clicked that menu so many times, and it's even worse now, because now it's tricked me. I don't go in there when I do have achievements. And then I check, like I get a ding, and it's like maybe I should check, oh, I do actually have an achievement. And then the notification's still there. It's driving me insane. The server bug's probably worse. Listener, I was being hyperbolic
Probably.
for content.
Yeah. But this is more of like a low level annoying that all the time, as opposed to an acute level of annoyance once in a while. So
It doesn't make me quit the game, but it makes me question my sanity. Which is worse? It's up to you to evaluate how important your time and sanity is. I don't really know where I lie in that balance. We're just going to move on. So, last thing, Battlegrounds rating is not showing correctly on mobile. Now, Steve, you alluded to a change in the Deathborn mechanic, and there's
Yeah.
also a potential change in the Baron mechanic, so we alluded to that
Right.
earlier. Baron dies the same time as other death rattles. I believe that he does not double them. My understanding is now effects are processed right to left instead of left to right. That is my understanding of what changed as far as the Baron death rattle stuff goes. I haven't proven that or tested that, but that's what I've heard.
so just
but-
put your Baron all the way on the left. What could go wrong?
A few things. But yes, there is that is different. And then the Deathborn change. So Deathborn, it used to you would play Deathborn, and then anything that died from it looked like from the skeleton death rattles. If you killed your own skeletons, and those skeletons killed some of their stuff, you would get more skeletons. Now it's just whatever is killed exactly by the card Deathborn. What it turns out was happening is Deathborn was doing simple math of how many minions are in play when I pay the 6 mana and drag it out of my hand versus how many minions are in play when the spell is over. And it would just give you however many skeletons was the difference. They re-implemented it so it's just whatever Deathborn marks for death itself. Leo on Minty Fresh on Twitter specifically said there were some weird edge cases where you would Deathborn a full board, ping your Acolyte of Pain, and then get a cast when drawn spell that killed a bunch of minions and fill your board
Twisting
with skeletons.
Nether, I think is what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, assuming you somehow had a cast when drawn Twisting Nether. So this is obviously very edge, a very weird edge case. But edge cases that heavily reward a player for unrelated stuff, like it's just weird and strange. So view this as a bug fix, where what Deathborn was supposed to do was mark things for death, and anything it marked, it gave you a skeleton. What it ended up doing was simple math. Consider this the same thing as the collateral damage bug. That's what they did. They changed the functionality to match what they were thinking about. That's also, by the way, why they're not giving Dust back. I know it feels like a functional nerf. They didn't give Dust back for Nitro Boost Poison. Well, they did because they nerfed it too, but they didn't give Dust back because they fixed the corrupt interaction. They didn't give Dust back for Dreaming Drake, when you would corrupt it and then no longer kept off secret passage. They didn't give Dust back for that. Didn't give Dust back for collateral damages bug being fixed. This is a bug too. It's just something that was working the way that was different from how the devs thought it would work, and so they made it work the way they wanted it to.
But that is something that you should be aware if you're playing Mage. That is a calculation that you very commonly make, and just be aware that that is a change, because you will be sad if you are expecting more skeletons than you get.
Yep. Okay, I think that's it for known issues, at least in a technical sense. There are some new constructed portraits in the shop. Steve, I know you have feelings about the Elise.
I more have feelings about the Tyrande. I didn't actually buy the Elise, but it looks very cool.
Yeah, there are Star Guardian portraits. The Star Guardian theming, you've all seen it. It's basically Sailor Moon.
magic of Azeroth. Star Guardian
Yes.
is the Riot thing.
Right. It's Magic of Azeroth.
Yes.
They're all Sailor Moon. It's all
We have
Sailor
to
Moon.
we have to get our don't call it Sailor Moon. Do you want to get sued? Synonyms right.
I mean, you can just say magical girl, right? Like it's enough of a genre.
Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
You all know what I'm saying. They had to come up with a non-copyrighted name, but we are just a podcast. We can do whatever we do. We can
For
do what we
me, the
want.
magical girl series that always comes to mind is Madoka, not Sailor Moon.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, neither do I.
Oh boy,
Oh, are we gonna get an
Oh,
education?
We're gonna
today?
get some research after the show.
I'm gonna I'll probably ask my 15-year-old if she knows about it, and she probably will. And
It
she'll
is
tell me
a,
all
a
about it.
it is a 12-episode anime by one of the same creators who I believe worked on Fate and Fate Stay Night. And it is an exploration of girlhood, and also after the first 3 episodes gets a lot darker than people expected.
Oh,
I'm gonna stick with Sailor Moon. So, anyways, so got some new portraits in there. The Nemsy is cute. I'm surprised we got yet another Nemsy. I guess people really like Nemsy, but we have like 7.
not based on my mentions. Because I posted that tweet, and boy, do people not like Nemsy. I was surprised. I got a lot of people very angry that there was another Nemsy, like actually upset. I was very shocked, but people have very strong feelings about Nemsy apparently.
It's there were 2 in this tavern pass.
Yeah,
This is a 3rd Nemsy. This is a good Nemsy. It's a good looking one. It's a cute little, not Star Guardian. Magic of Azeroth. Magic Girl. Magic Gnome. Magic Nemsy. It's adorable.
yeah.
But-
I'm holding out for the Tyrande. I almost bought the Elise, but I mean, I'm just gonna hold out for the Tyrande and just put that into my priest rotation.
So, anyways, yeah, portraits. If you want them, they're in the shop. Runestones, you know the drill. There are also Battlegrounds portraits. They are 150 runestones, which comes out to $1.50 in US dollars. Smallest runestone bundle is 500 runestones. You will have a little bit left over, even if you buy 3. $1.50 seems like a very fair price for a BG portrait, but the leftover currency thing, again, been discussed a lot. I recommend against buying excess runestones. Do not give Blizzard any interest-free loans of your own money. There's no need to do that. What I'm planning on doing is just I threw $5 in my account. I will refill it like I do with my Easy Pass. When it's empty, I will buy more when I need to buy more stuff. Otherwise, it is never going to be a number above 500. And if I need to buy something exactly, then I will buy it exactly for that amount right then. But they have Delivery Daryl, who is a tiny little Daryl with a cute courier hat and a little envelope. I couldn't say no. He likes hats. So I spent the $5 and then gave them 150 runestones. But it doesn't divide up evenly into the smallest amount. So, up to you to decide how you want to engage with runestones and BG's cosmetics in general. There are more expensive things that you can buy if you want a bigger bunch of BG's cosmetics. All the ones in the rewards track are pretty great, but you have to buy the BG's rewards track, and that is already, again, a thing that people have strong feelings about whether or not they're going to do it.
Yeah, you can get Sailor Moon scabs for free though, so you should do that.
Yes, go into the BG shop, click Star Scout Scabs. Star Scout Scabs. Click him. He's free. Zero runestones. You just have to go in and click it because they want you to look in the shop, so they give you a reason to do that.
You know who else is free, although along the like free part of the rewards track? The magical girl Rokara, which is just, in my opinion, hands down the best Rokara art. I have not been a huge fan of the Rokara art to date, which is a shame because I do like the character, but it was sort of like, I don't know, I like the one on the hero card and maybe Defiant, but I didn't end up getting Defiant. I really, really, really hope that they adapt this BG art for Rokara to standard for Warrior. I want it so bad.
You're starting to co-sign on my campaign because I want basically every Zarella skin that's in BG is available for standard. So, yeah. Though the also if you want like wallpaper for your phone or anything like that, the Magic of Azeroth full art is up on the Blizzard press site, and so you can use that for your phone wallpaper or your desktop wallpaper or whatever you'd like. So that's something that I think we mentioned it from time to time, but not enough people know about that. You can get a lot of the full art on the press site, and you should.
Yeah, the uploading is a little inconsistent as to when they do it, where they do it, but they have a lot of stuff up there.
Yep.
Okay, so portraits. Now, some standard talk. Because we have an image slideshow that will not listen to me. Studio mode does not like this. Okay, so no studio mode. We'll do it live. So we also have this tweet from Aleko. We're going to be making some standard balance adjustments soon. Next patch will likely be more nerf-focused than the previous one and might include some neutral cards. We'll be locking in our changes this Friday, and the patch will go live a week after that. Yo, this is cool. All right, hold up. I want to make sure. This has come up like every single day since this tweet was made. They're not going to tweet out the changes on Friday. If you're reading this as the changes are going to get tweeted out on Friday, that hasn't been a thing for a while, since Gallon had to do it right before Masters Tour because they couldn't wait for localization. They're going to wait for the patch notes. They will decide on Friday, like they always do. They decide a week early. And then they might tease one card at some point through an Ixar meme, like they always do, with Jason Momoa and Celestial Alignment or whatever. But we're not going to get the patch notes tweeted out tomorrow. We're not going to get the changes tweeted out tomorrow. If we do, it'll be a big surprise, but that is not how this particular iteration of the balance team, they just haven't done that, and I don't envision that changing.
Yep. And also remember, Monday is a holiday in the US. So if you're thinking, okay, well, they're going to do it Friday and have the patch Tuesday, very unlikely because Monday is a holiday that they're not going to be in the office.
It'll be, I will bet $1 on Thursday the 8th. Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet against a potential delay to the 13th. This is not based on anything other than the entire live ops team is working on server issues. So it's entirely possible that if they don't get that resolved, then maybe this gets delayed. They're different teams. The live ops versus the engineering QA and whatever, like they'll be doing different stuff, but the tech side is already somewhat busy. So I think there is a potential chance of a delay here to the following week, but they're likely targeting September 8th because that way they get in Battlegrounds changes too, but without 2 full weekends of something being broken. That's usually what they aim for with Battlegrounds patches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time for baseless speculation. Let's go. So you both made tweets about what you think's going to happen, or at least one of you made a tweet
like
about
4
predictions.
a.m.
One of you made a tweet about it's 4 a.m. and I'm mad. So we'll get to that one second. Steve, you go
Okay,
first.
well, hold up. I was not mad. I was just.
Do you want me to
thinking.
read the tweet?
You can read the tweet.
All right, you get to go first now. Hot take, because I can't sleep. Paladin and Warrior would be minimum tier 2 right now if we just
Okay.
deleted Starfish. Mass Silence and Neutral is a crazy powerful tool, and 40 cards means more spots for techs. 40 life hinders lethality, and then Starfish bails the slow deck out. Signed, Swagaway Edelweiss on Twitter.
Okay. One, I do not sound like that ever.
It was a dramatic reading. You can't have a dramatic reading without drama.
You're right.
It sounded like me playing Witch Cat.
I should have read it myself so it could be proper tone. This was me like being up at 4 or 5 a.m. unable to sleep and just being like, thinking about this and like playing some games. I feel like Starfish is doing too much work. It was much more of a
Listen, is this Squelch podcast or not? We got to read the salt.
Is this a rabbit hole worth exploring?
I didn't mean it.
Oh, he said it. For those of you that don't understand the Squelch podcast jokes that we're making here, go subscribe to that show right now. It's a funny show. So anyways.
I'm sorry to anyone who interpreted the thread that way. It was
I didn't really. I just thought it
Purely
was
sort
funny. And the content this has borne by me pretending that you were mad once ever. Really happy with where the show is going.
I don't think you've ever seen me mad.
I don't think
I
we
don't.
have.
I don't think you're capable. I don't think that you know how to
That
do
is
it.
untrue.
I think that it's extremely unlikely, but that Edel is capable, and that we absolutely do not want to see it.
Yeah,
'Cause
I wouldn't like
I-
her when she's angry.
Yeah,
So, anyways, this has been glorious. And also, I will say, the entirety of the Squelch podcast, except for Daniel, Stormer, and Sheldon, is in our chat right now, and they're having a ball. I'm having a ball, too. You should all be here live on Twitch. This is an event. But anyways, despite my salt rate of this tweet, I agree with you, because I want Warrior to be better. So, Bad Luck Albatross, Lorekeeper Polkelt, were neutrals that got played in a lot of decks because you weren't making a tempo sacrifice for them. You just threw it in because you weren't really losing out on all that much. The world of Renathal has changed that calculus a bit. You can be even slightly more inefficient. We see double Starfish and Druidless because they have the card slots. We see Theatar in everything because they have the card slots. And at 4 mana, you can just throw them out there because you're probably not going to die on turn 5 in this format. If you are, you'll know it. And then you just take the thing. Against Enraged Warrior, you don't have card draw and they have a lot of minion buffs. So Starfish into Theo taking the Grom or Rakara, the game's just over. Paladin can't really work all that well against Starfish. If you're playing it to unfreeze your own minions for lethal, you have lethal. How much do you care if it costs 3 or 4 or whatever? It doesn't matter. Make it cost 4. But if you are just trying to play a slightly underwhelming deck that eventually builds cool stuff over time, Starfish just ruins your fun. I agree with this take.
So my counterpoint is that you said it when you were talking about it, is that we have way too many freezes in standard right now. Full board freezes. Mage chains them. Mage can chain between full board freezes and Solid Alibi for 5-6 consecutive turns if they want to. And, same thing with Shaman. Yes, Snowfall Guardian sometimes getting cut. If the power level of the meta comes down, I would not be surprised to see that coming back in, even if it's not going to be, a win condition on its own. You need to have some counterplay for board freezes. I think people would be, as much as I agree with you that it is ruining the ability to do any sort of a death rattle deck or any sort of cool warrior enraged things or any sort of cool paladin things. I'm really scared about mage and shaman if there's not some counterplay to consecutive board freezes.
Is a 4 mana Starfish not something that you would run if you were worried about that? Like, it's the decks that are
we're not
running it
talking
right
about
now.
format, we're talking about deleting it.
Well,
Right.
that's never going to happen. Like, they just don't delete cards anymore.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
I
you
would
could make
expect
it
like
5.
4
You
mana
could probably
3
make it
4
5
even.
You could probably
Or
make
like
it 5 even.
Well, I want it to be something. So Zoo plays Starfish just to unfreeze the imps. I want that deck to still have it at 4. But the decks that's playing double are all the Renathal decks. It's Druid. Druid is playing double Starfish. I want them to have to work a little harder.
We have a lot more work to do with Druid across the board.
Don't-
So I mean, yeah.
We're segueing. This is segue. I'm tossing this
Yeah.
to you. What else would you like to do, Steve?
I want Guff to be nicer.
He's already very nice.
No,
but
he's not.
A little less nurturing.
He's like Minnesota nice right now. He's not actually nice.
Ooh.
So
Wow.
no, that's like a term. That's not. That's
No,
not like
I
me.
know, but I am fully aware of how
So
rough that is.
yeah. So like, okay. First of all, Edwin's going back to 4. Like, we don't need to discuss it. That's kind of a given. It's almost certainly going to happen. I would expect. I
I sure
don't.
hope so. As the person that is dumpstering people with Edwin, 4 versus 3 is such an enormous difference because I have had so many games like where I tradable on 1 and then Edwin on 3 to get the card draw to make my Knowles cost 0 and then step him right away, then play him for 1 minute the next turn. He's a 9/9 or 11/11 or whatever. It fundamentally changes the deck's construction, the turn sequence, how the games play out in general. And I think it hits every rogue deck in a major way to the point where they'll likely be just around the 50% mark again. I expect it to be a substantial hit to the win rate just changing Edwin because you might think it's 1 legendary. They're cutting all the other minions so they can tutor him. They're cutting Krakatoa just so they can always get Edwin. They're
Yeah.
warping the deck so much around him that 4 instead of 3 will be an enormous change.
Yeah. So I guess we don't really need to talk too much more about that. I think like I had a thread earlier in the weekend too about like what I see as like Keliseths in some of the classes, and Guff and Magister Dawngrasp are kind of the two big ones. Topior is kind of a mini Keliseth. It's pretty rough when that comes down on curve, but I don't think Topior is the problem. I think it's more of a symptom. But I think 20 mana is too much on Guff. I think there's not many things you can do on Guff without completely deleting it from the game. Like you can make it more expensive. It probably doesn't matter. You just try to order your Nourish into it, right? Like it has such an effect that it doesn't necessarily matter if it comes down on 5 or 6 or 7. It's still, I mean, 5 is not. Maybe it should be more than 5, whatever. But the cap on how many like broken things you can do really does come around to like how much mana you have. And I do feel like if we went down to 15, it's still not going to solve like the Brand and Athreus problem. That's going to require some more work anyway. But like a lot of the like really broken turns come when they get Guff down early and get themselves up to 20 mana, and then the world is their oyster. So I do wonder if maybe it needs a mana change, maybe it doesn't. But 15 max mana, I feel like might make it a little bit less oppressive.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of focus on the hero powers there. I feel like just the scaling on Magister Dawngrasp and
Yes.
the fact it always seems strange to me that Guff, when you use that hero power, gives you a full mana crystal. That has always struck me as kind of suspicious. That there's just
Yeah, you just
it's
float one
basically
mana and you get it for free. Yeah,
exactly.
I think
it is a
Kibler,
one mana hero
Kibler was
power
talking
in
about it. He was
disguise.
talking about the problem with hero powers, and the mana crystal thing came up. Guff with empty mana crystals might be a bigger nerf than a 15 mana cap.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say.
At least it makes it a cost, right? Like that's right now. It doesn't really cost you anything to ramp other than you're not drawing a card that turn.
It
also
hits you at a different
it's a
part
buff,
of the game.
and it's a buff to the card where I'll no longer feel stupid when I have 1 mana left over at the end of the turn and I haven't pressed the button.
Yes.
That will no longer happen. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
But it's so
Slow
like I don't know
down,
if that's the
Hat.
solution. I don't know if that's the solution, but like full crystal ramp has always been something that's felt kind of funky.
Yeah.
Most ramp spells don't. Nourish was the only one that did that I can think of for a long time. If ever, did anything else?
Was it the one that discarded your hand gave you full crystals too? I think.
Well, it's you could hero power after. That is true.
Yeah.
After Astral Communion.
Yeah. I think
It's,
that's hard.
I'm gonna say I think that trade-off probably still pretty fair overall. But yeah, other than Astral Communion, it was really just Nourish. And-
Biology project.
Yeah, biology.
Yeah,
project.
biology
okay.
project. Yeah.
And I guess Twig of the World Tree, as our wild friends know.
Well, that's a refresh, right?
Well,
That's
no,
not-
it grants.
It
grants you 10.
it sets you to 10, right?
It grants
Or
you
it
10.
gives
If you
you-
have Guff,
It gives you 10 mana, 10 full mana crystals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, like Guff, he feels better to play with the full crystals, but also if the goal is to make him feel worse to play, that could easily be something that they hit because it stops the scaling. It makes the hero power more of a choice. This has also been the discussion around Dawngrasp, their hero power. I think that the common consensus I've seen, the most common discussion is just make the scaling +1 instead of +2.
Yeah. It's just like if you get it on curve, you will generally be able to get it up to like 10, right? Like it doesn't take you you're trying to get it to like 8 or 10. And once you get it there, then it's like, okay, even if they have Redithal, that's four turns and you have lethal. Right? I mean, obviously taking into account healing or whatever, but like that's just damage that you really can't interact with at all. So I think that just needs to ramp up slower. And I mean, there's like they already buffed it, but they buffed it in like a 6-set Stormwind meta. Like we're not there. I don't think that you need to go back to like, what was it, like 9? Was it 8 or 9? It was
Dawn
8.
Grasp
right?
was 8.
8.
And I think, yeah, I forget if the hero power was +1 or +2 if it just started at
I think it was
1.
still. I think it was +2.
I don't. Yeah, I think it was +2, but it started lower.
I think it started at 1. Yeah, it was the hero power was deal 1, gain +2, so it was odd scaling instead of even scaling.
Yeah.
So
and wildfire
currently it
was just
basically
broken
gives
with
you
it.
right, gives you a free wildfire.
Yeah.
Um,
And yeah, and then my feeling about Denathrius, and I know we're going to disagree about this because I know that there's a want to remove the lifesteal on Denathrius, and that's not the way I'm going because I feel like and it's I think this is kind of a
Found the
Rorschach
priest
test.
player. Found
This
the
is a
priest
Rorschach
player.
test. This is a Rorschach test for like what annoys you about Denathrius, right? And does the healing annoy you, or is the fact the game end annoys you? And the game that for me, I'm tired of getting 104'd by Denathrius, and I think, and if it was changed to only damages minions, right? First of all, this would not be an immediate game ender. You wouldn't see Brand Denathrius anymore anyway because it just wouldn't do anything. There would be a way to play around it by keeping your board empty. It's not a great way, but you could play around it. And the 10/10 body is still a significant threat if it sticks, which it's going to. It's still very hard to remove. It provides a lot of additional healing after the fact. So, like, let the body be a threat. Don't have the battle cry end the game. And that would also, it would cut down on a lot of decks that are running this. They're just running it, as a secondary finisher. I've seen it in Warlock. I was running it in the stupid Dude Paladin just because it would bail me out of games that I wouldn't have won otherwise. But then it still provides a heal. It provides you a big threat, but doesn't immediately end the game.
If we're talking about hitting the Dawn Grasp scaling, and we're talking about hitting Denathrius, the only way to end games off board in the entire format is going to be Quest Hunter.
No, Purified Shard.
No, we are not warping the meta. Where the best way to end the game from hand, the best combo is Purified Shard. You know how many Theatars and Mutini are going to be around?
I do think things will shift, right? If maybe stuff becomes more favorable to curses, that's a way to end off the board. Additionally, well positioned.
Oh, good. The Curse Warlock, Quest Hunter, Quest Priest meta, people will uninstall.
It does bypass Alibi, which is a card that people also have frustrations around because the damage they take is on their turn, so they can't reduce it to 1. But I don't know. I kind of feel like when it comes to the Denathrius that if you do the other things to slow them down, then the fact that you haven't done something by that point is like, I don't know, it could be any OTK. It just happens to be Brand Denathrius.
Okay, I will give that to you up to a point, right? Like, if I am a control deck, right, and I am at 40, you should not be able to kill me with Denathrius.
I disagree.
I don't.
How are people supposed to kill you?
How long has the game
Or do you
gone
just
with
win
it?
the game by being at 40?
If I am still at full life by the time that you have a Denathrius ready to play, that's juiced up, you should not be able to kill me just with that one card. And with Druid, that's turn 10, right? And nothing's going to change that.
I think it's easy to feel like it's just that one card, but you have to remember they needed to play many, many, many cards leading up to that card. It had to sit in their hand, giving you the opportunity to Mutinous or Theatar. So I feel like it's easy to say, oh, it's a 1 card or 2 card combo. It's not that much, but so much work has to be done to get to that point. And you have given them the time. So I don't think it's fair to say, oh, well, they just kill me with just these couple of cards when someone could do a 6-card OTK that kills you from 40 and like it's a similar thing. It's just disguising itself as a different number of cards because of the infuse.
So you're making the anti-control deck argument, right? Which is fair when it's an anti-control deck and not an anti-control 3-card package that can go into any deck because it's neutral.
I mean, a deck that has to run a lot of minions.
No, but
you don't lose to Shaman. Like, you beat Shaman. Right? Quest Priest beat Shaman, yeah?
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen a shaman in weeks.
Exactly.
I see a fair
Exactly. It's only in Druid. It's just
No,
in
it's not.
Druid.
It's not only in Druid. It's in Warlock. It's in.
What
you know, I
Warlock?
mean, even
You
You
got
played-
really unlucky
You
with
played
that imp
one Warlock with a Jiraxis. It's
no.
look me in the eye and tell me
No.
it's in the meta Warlock deck. Go ahead.
He's referring to the Imp
That was
Warlock
Imp
that
Warlock,
had
yeah.
Denathrius since the start of the game and happened to be running.
Oh, and the
Brand as
Kael'thas.
well.
Okay, so Steve,
Yeah,
you've been on the
yeah.
Kael'thas train for a while. Is there any
Yeah.
world where Kael'thas takes the bullet for Denny?
No, because of Druid.
So, would there
think
be another
Druid-
nerf that
Druid
goes with
needs-
it that's enough, or they
Yeah.
need to hit Denny too?
I think that you're going to have a problem with Ramp Druid. Like Ramp Druid needs more than just Guff. There's a lot of problems with Ramp Druid. Like Ramp Druid is arguably the best deck in the game. It needs to have some sort of weakness, and hitting Guff isn't enough. If I okay, the one thing I would love to do, and I haven't suggested because I don't think it's realistic, is delete Earthen Scales. Right? Just send it out of core. They don't need it anymore. Give Druid some sort of a, because like right now, like if you're playing a long game against Druid, even if you can ship them down a lot, then they just play a Devourer and then Earthen Scales it and they're back at 50. Right?
That combo is pretty horrifying.
Yeah. So like if we're gonna delete Earthen Scales, we can leave Denathrius alone. I'm fine, because then at least you could do something, and I'll just take that. I'll let the other decks beat them down, and then I'll just accept losing to them. But Druid doesn't have a weakness right now.
Well, I think the
that's
hard
not
carry.
It gets smashed by Go Wide Fast decks. Aggro Druid
Yeah.
demolishes it, 75% matchup.
Yeah, but Aggro Druid
But
gets beaten by a
Naga
lot of other
Priest,
stuff in the meta.
Zoo, right? So theoretically, the other nerfs would leave room for those Go Wide early decks, especially if you nerf Starfish Blizzard. Just throwing that out there, because and Rage Warrior actually beats Druid more than it
Oh, yeah.
doesn't. Aggro Druid, Naga Priest, Zoo. These are the decks that got pushed out in part by Wild Pond Knolls and in part by a bunch of freezes. By the way, let's circle back to Mage for a bit. Let's reel back to Mage for a little bit. Are we only getting Dawn Grasp? Because
Oh no,
I-
we're taking the durability off Nightcloak Sanctum. Absolutely.
good talk. Okay, I'm here for it. Let's get back to Denathrius.
I forgot that in my tweet, but yeah, that has to happen. I think there's no real discussion on
Yeah,
that.
that's the
and-
most straightforward one that I'm like, no, you guys had it the first time in terms of like in the in the early access thing. I forget what they call it. The
The theory
theory
crafting?
crafting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 durability.
Yeah.
And that was fine. Yep, that was correct. I feel so. I think for me, the scariest cards in Druid are the unsuspecting. They're Jerry Rig, they're Moonlit Guidance, and Aquatic Form. I think those cards hard carry the ability to go 40. Oh, and the addition of Wild Bloom, because
Yeah.
that added an additional ramp tool that not only ramps but draws a card.
And it draws one of the good cards,
Draws
right?
a
Like
nature spell,
it's one of the
which
cards
is
that you want.
likely to be more ramp.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not guaranteed, but it's just, it is such a well-oiled machine that they hit their ramp. Maybe they don't hit Guff to start going over 10 right away. Like sometimes they miss Guff, but they hit some kind of ramp all the time, even at 40 cars. It's just very reliable that my Druid opponent is going to be on 7 or 8 mana when I'm on like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Even though they're 40 card deck. And that feels rough because, like I mentioned, then gives them time to find their spammy or starfish or whatever, and starfish just totally shuts down some of these strategies that you would expect to be powerful sort of tools against the druid, whether it's paladins buffing things to very large sizes or warriors doing the same by another means.
I mean, I guess the only other card that's really been that hasn't been addressed yet, like, does scale have to go to 1/1s?
That doesn't do anything. Or sorry, when I say that doesn't do anything, I mean like that totally kills the card. Like that
No,
doesn't
I know. Yeah.
clear anything.
It's okay. Controversial statement. I don't want to kill Druid. Don't want to kill it. It's
I don't want to kill Druid either, but it's like it doesn't feel like it has like a weakness as part of its class identity anymore.
Going
right?
wide. Going wide. I know that you've just been playing mono Quest Priest and you don't understand how to play Iron Deep Trog anymore. If you ever did, I can assure you there's a huge group of decks that demolishes Druid. The problem is they all lose to Gnolls and they all lose to Freezes and they all lose to Starfish. Every single
Right.
one has the same weaknesses, and they're also the other most popular class in the game. I promise all the go wide fast decks really do a good job of beating up Druid. I would bet just guff to empty crystals would probably be enough to make Druid not even above 50% anymore. But I hope they do more, because the guff isn't enough discourse will piss me off forever. And people will still play it in large numbers just to prove that the class didn't get nerfed enough, because people love spite playing class they don't think got nerfed enough,
Yeah.
and the goal is to make the Druid play rate go down. But it needs to be something smaller, maybe Topior to 8. Topior is the card that whenever it comes down fast, whenever it gets growth nourished Topior, I just sigh like, do I really have to play out this game? At least Topior to 8 means they don't get the planet evidence in the same turn.
Or maybe
At
those
least that.
become 2/2s.
That I
Right.
could see. Yeah.
Good.
Because 3/3 is a lot. For
Yeah.
as
Well-
many nature spells as Druid runs, like there like 3/3s are hard to do, or maybe if you want to keep the attack on it, maybe you take the health off them to make them a little bit easier to clear. Make them die to an explosive trap. I don't know, but
Yeah.
but certainly like maybe those are just too big, because like they get them down and they play a lot of nature spells.
It's impossible to stay on board against them as a deck that wants to play
Yeah.
board stuff, unless your minions have stealth, in which case, like, whatever, and,
Yeah, I had a game where the other night where they got Topior off Moonlit Guidance.
Yeah. I
And
was just
that-
going to say.
Yeah, and that
And
game, like I just like I kept playing the game, and I should have just conceded at that point, because
no.
the game was over at that point.
Whenever I see Topior comes down, it says created by Moonlight Guidance, I concede.
Yeah,
I just
that's
It
probably
is-
healthier for your mental health, and would be probably better for mine.
unless I am and I hate Theotar, so I'm usually not playing Theotar, but unless I steal their Denathrius and going to kill them in short order, like, you just can't go the distance. You never
Yeah.
have a board again, so that's out. And like you mentioned, there's very few ways to kill them off the board.
the format just doesn't have much of it because they tried to pull back on it on purpose, and they were successful, and then this is what we have. So,
Yeah,
not going to say they needed to print more lethality, but when they did, there were more options as to how you built your decks, because there were more weaknesses, as opposed to make everything go on board and then have some cards that are a little bit too powerful at taking people off the board and making the best boards the ones that don't interact at all.
So let me ask you this, because like my feeling was, if you stop Denathrius from being an instant win con, you don't need to touch Theotar. If you're leaving it as an instant win con, you need to do something to Theotar, because that's still going to be played just as much, right? Or are you leaving Theotar alone?
I want to do the make neutral tech cards a tempo cost thing, where
Yeah.
you should cost them to the point where you actually think about, should I run this or not? That's not where Theotar is right now. At 5,
Yeah.
he would be.
Okay.
Makes Brand Theotar slower, which I would like to do. I don't need Theotar to happen more frequently. I would like to happen less frequently. And if I'm nerfing Denathrius, honestly, infuse 2. Like, just make it worse.
Okay. I suggested that last time. You both told me that was going to kill the card.
That's not what I want to change, but it's the only thing I can think of that is a lot simpler than all these suggestions and keeps him as something you can do from your hand to end a game in this meta, but also just doesn't end up with these crazy wacky numbers on him and still feels like the same card.
I mean, my thought was just like, Denathrius is turning into Penflinger, right?
It's a lot of
and then-
pens. It's like so many pens.
It's a whole like Staples full of pens. I get that, but I mean that's kind of like, because we had that period in the beginning of was it Ashes, when, or no, it wasn't Ashes, it was the beginning of Barons, when like every deck had Penflingers. That was when like Paladin was popular, and then you had like the Weapon Rogue with Penflinger, and there was probably another couple of other decks that had Penflinger, and it felt like it was everywhere. And then we were also trying to steal that out of people's hands to try to. I remember I was running a Lucia in that meta just to get the Penflingers out of their hands.
Yeah. And we're running Theatar to get Denathrius out of people's hands.
Yeah.
Like, Theatar will see less play when Denathrius goes down, like you said. But unclear what they're going to do. I think Infuse to boost him is just the simplest way to make him slower and worse. And that's... I don't know.
It probably does. That probably still does kill the card outside of Druid, but
Maybe.
you should have to.
You could
You
probably
should-
get
you
away
should
with
have
it
to
in
work
Shaman.
for it. You should have to work for it. Yeah, Shaman would probably. I mean, with schooling and everything, you could get there, but you should have to work for it, right? Like I mean, not that you don't have to work for it, but you can get it a decent size, and then Druid just gets it to like the Stratosphere if it wants to.
Right. But it's at Infuse 2, it probably comes out of Zoo, which good. Take the 10 drop
Yes.
out of your aggro deck. I don't want that in there.
Yes.
I don't want that in there. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. We're probably wrong about most of these. But I mean, it's the Edwin thing, the hero changes seem to be pretty consensus. Nightcloak Sanctum losing durability is the freest change ever. Like that we saw it at 3-2 and we're like, this is a good card. And then they said, no, it's a 3-3. It's like, what? Huh? So bring it back. Okay. I don't know if Starfish is on anybody's radar, but I hope that someone at Blizzard is listening to you, Edelweiss. I hope, because I want to play more in Rage Warrior.
I mean, maybe if Nightcloak gets hit, I mean, Deathborn's already got kind of a soft nerf. If Varden gets hit, maybe there's just, or Darngrex gets hit, maybe then Mage just gets played less, so you don't see as many Starfishes because there are fewer freezes, and then maybe you have a little bit more room to breathe. It's possible because Shaman's non-existent right now. So the only class that's doing board freezes is Mage. So if Mage play rate comes down a little bit, maybe then you see fewer Starfishes.
So let's see what happens. Next up, also an important Twitter news. They posted this funny meme that I feel personally attacked by. It is Infused Insatiable Devourer, and the tagline is POV, the cheese in my fridge at 2 a.m. I didn't approve them making this tweet. I didn't say they could do this. This is a personal attack. I do that sometimes. Listen, if the cheese is going to go bad, what do I do? Gotta go somewhere. In addition, Maurice. So, Blizzard made a tweet. The official account made a tweet saying, send us pictures of your dog. Of course. It was National Dog Day. They wanted pictures of dogs. Maurice is an adorable pug. Someone officially made a Maurice card back. It is adorable and slobbery. And I bet this is another dog-based card back they don't put in the game, and I am preemptively mad. Preemptively mad.
They tried to sneak it in while you were streaming.
Put this in
Maybe
the
you wouldn't
game.
notice. Like the one time that you're not on Twitter 24/7.
Put Maurice in the game. Okay. That's news/speculation. Our chat is saying, I will buy runestones for this. Blizzard, put Maurice in the game. Throw us and him a bone. All right. Tournament time. Steve, you ready? Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Grand tournament.
So we had GM last call playoffs, which was best of 7 conquests. So we had the top 8 from GM last call were playing in round robin groups. It was a little bit of a weird format because the players who were at the bottom of the bracket effectively came in with 1 loss against them in the groups already, whereas I believe the players at the top of the bracket had a bye. So it was kind of like you came in with 1 life, 1 extra life or 1 lost life. It was a little bit weird. The playoffs went a little bit faster than I think, probably just because there were fewer players than I at least I anticipated, given that they were best of 7. But our finals came down to Bunny Hopper versus Blythe. I'm not going to go down the lineups because they were basically just playing all of the valid standard legal decks in their lineup.
Bly's had at least one spicy deck that I would hesitate to call typical.
Yeah.
He brought Renathal Relic Demon Hunter.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that was the one that was a little bit of a. It was basically coming down to: are you playing Relic Demon Hunter? Are you playing Quest Hunter? Right? Because I think Bunny had Quest Hunter in his lineup, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I didn't write down the
mage, mostly.
lineups. Yeah. Because I mean, when you have best of 7, you're bringing 5 decks. There's not a lot of wiggle room. A lot of it came down to: are you bringing Aggro Druid or Ramp Druid? I mean, you're bringing Rogue. Are you bringing Big Spell Mage, or are you bringing Spooky Mage? Are you bringing Wig Priest? Are you bringing Quest Priest? Those were basically the decisions that were being made. But the lineups were pretty standard across the weekend. The finals was quite tense because Bly's went up 3-0 and then only had his Rogue left, and it went to 7 games. And the game 7 was a Rogue mirror. So the one Rogue had to win. And Bly's was able to pull that out, and then they did a post-game interview with him, and he basically said, "I hate this deck and I'm never playing it again." it's like, if you don't draw Shroud, you lose. I don't know how true that is. I haven't played enough Rogue to know, but it sounds plausible enough. So
that's not strictly accurate. It's not like the furthest thing from the truth I've ever heard, but it's not how I would phrase it. But Bly's is known for, hyperbolic phrasing sometimes.
I could also imagine, after losing 3 straight games with Rogue and then having to win a mirror, I could see him being a little bit emotional about that.
Yeah.
Having your entire spot at Worlds, because he's never been to Worlds. This is the first time that he's qualified for Worlds. He's been in GM for a couple of years now. He's won Masters Tours. He's never been to Worlds. So this was the first time that he's qualified. I could only imagine what was going through his mind going into that game 7, that I may not get my spot at Worlds because I can't draw a Shroud of Concealment. Like, I could see that going through his head. I wouldn't blame him. So Bly's will be going to Worlds. Bunny Hopper's already been qualified, so he didn't have as much riding on that. So we do have we're gonna have another Masters tour. We're going into the winter competitive season, which will have do we just have 6, or did we have 5 already? I forget. Do we have Masters Tour 5, or?
I think we were done for the year. I think we did number 6.
No, we still have at least Masters Tour 6
Oh.
left to go. I just didn't remember if we had 5 or we only had 4. It's the name,
We
because
had 5.
they assigned the names so late that
I'm pretty sure that if we're not done, we have one more.
Yeah. So we've got that, and then we will have Worlds coming up later in the year. We'll have Winter Championships as well. So that'll be from the winner, the high point earners from like 4, 5, and 6. So to determine the last spots at World, we have Lobby Legends, Sailor Moon. Sorry, Magic of Azeroth. Will be this weekend, 3rd and 4th of September. It is on EU time, so we'll be starting at midnight Pacific, 9 a.m. Central European time, 4 p.m. KST. So did we hear who the casters are going to be for that? I don't know if they've announced that yet.
They usually just do that like the week before.
Yeah. Well, it is the week before. It's in 2 days. Oh, it's Derek and Lorinda will be casting.
Okay.
So I guess, Gia's not starting to ease out of her. Yeah, she does have casting. She's in the middle of moving. Yeah. So she's probably, she's going to be in California. So she's not done casting for the year, but she's not casting this event. So Derek and Lorinda, I haven't seen Derek playing. I know Lorinda plays like whenever he's streaming. That's all he's doing is playing Battlegrounds and then complaining that he's bad at the game while playing at 11k MMR. So
I do all that except the winning and the 11k part.
Yeah. So that'll be fun to watch. It'll be interesting to see how they do, and that'll be the competitive Hearthstone for this weekend. We're gonna have definitely less to talk about as we've gotten through GM, and we'll have a Masters tour, but we won't have competition every weekend. So it's kind of weird, because this is the first time in maybe even since like the tour stop system, where we haven't had like some sort of an event or another almost every weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how we start filling the gaps from here.
Yeah, I will be awaiting, I guess, the end of the year to find out whatever the new system is going to be in
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, and also the YouTube contract will be done by then too. So it'll be interesting to see where we're going to be able to see competitive Hearthstone and what that system is going to look like.
It's funny. I do feel like we blame the YouTube contract a lot, but I wonder what GM viewership would have been like even on Twitch these past few years, because they've been hand in hand the whole time. And so it's hard to say, what was more impactful, the switch to GMs and just kind of being a bit more lackluster in terms of stories, or the switch to YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it might have also just been oversaturation, right? Like if you can see something every weekend, then you're not going to make an effort to tune in as often, right? If that there is something of that. But yeah, I mean, and Bemi is in chat saying there will be third-party stuff filling the gaps. That is 100% true. There will definitely be third-party tournaments that will have the opportunity to stream and not be competing with GM or Masters tours, every single weekend. So that'll be a new world too. So it'll be fun.
I play in Super Go Gamer Pro every year.
Oh yeah, that's coming up, isn't it?
Ish.
Is that coming up? Ish, like October?
Yeah, a couple months.
Yeah.
It's September. October's next month.
Couple months.
It's current month plus 1.
Yeah, but it probably later in October.
Did it get nerfed from +2?
So anyways, that's going to wrap up our tournament section. And we do not have Dexplanations this week. We have a battleground table. Let's go.
So we thought about some standard things, but ultimately decided, hey, things are changing. We're, of course, going to talk about the potential changes no matter what. But we've been playing a bunch of BGs. So wanted to kind of dip into what it's like as a standard player coming back over to BGs. I feel like I never really get beyond 6K if I've been
same.
playing a good amount. But it's still fun. And yeah, we're just kind of vibing about BGs. So did either of you get the pass, the paid pass?
Not yet. Actually, Maureen just came in a few minutes before we started recording and said, did you get it? Are you getting it? And I said, I haven't yet, because I'm either going to get it because I feel like I want the extra heroes, or because I want the stuff on the rewards pass. The latter would be seeing if I stick with this enough to get far enough down the pass to get significant stuff off of it before I spend money on it. And I haven't yet really felt like I needed the extra heroes yet. Like I've had like some suboptimal pairs, but it feels like the quests have been making up for that enough that I felt like I can make it work, right? Like I don't go into it seeing like two trashed heroes and saying, okay, well, I'm just gonna quit out, right? Because it feels like even when you get like a suboptimal hero, the quest can make up for that. It can still lead you down a path that you can have at least have fun with the game, even if you're not like winning it.
The quests mitigate the impact of hero selection, whereas Buddies exacerbated it. So I think it's a pretty stark difference. I have been playing with 4 heroes, full disclosure. Blizzard, through press coverage, hooked me up with a code for the pass, so I do have it. Blizzard provided. Thank you, Blizzard. It's, the legendary skins are cool. They have golden hero frames, so I just pick them when I see them because the game tells me what to pick. And I can tell you, I've had a bunch, I haven't gotten a Ysera Flurgle lobby yet. I'm sure I will. They're, as you can see from the screen, they are easily the best thing to do right now. However, there have been a lot of 4 hero selections where my best one was low tier 3. And I ended up with Onyxia as my best hero. And she was fine, but I don't feel like the difference between 2 and 4 really helped me all that much there, other than knowing that I wouldn't have gotten a better option if I had more hero slots. If you have 2 and then you see the 2 locked portraits and you get 2 bad choices, it feels way worse because you don't know what's behind the doors because of how human psychology works. We did have...
Oh, I feel like it's still better than Hades, where they show you
Approval
exactly...
process does not count. That is evil. Where they show you the thing that they would have offered you and then cross it out, but you can still read it. Yeah, that's the worst. That's why I don't play with AP.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm bitter.
so I do not really miss the extra heroes. They were nice to have, but honestly, there have been games where I sort of have halfway through realized, oh, I have a hero power. I guess I should kind of worry about some of the time. This was usually with like Kurt, which is kind of a weird hero power to get going anyway. I was just so focused on getting the quest stuff done that I forgot that Kurt's hero power is kind of quest-like in and of itself, in terms of, buy 3 minions in one turn, then 4 minions in one turn, etc. And it's definitely, a disadvantage if you're not utilizing your hero to the fullest extent. And it felt good when I had like Lich King, where that was very obviously a hero power you use every turn. It gives you an advantage, particularly with beasts. But I don't feel it just doesn't feel as bad to me when I have a worse hero, because you can still get an insane quest or just get a quest online very quickly and start overpowering people, sort of regardless of what hero you have.
And social media before you start spinning up, and our audience is very reasonable, but social media before you start spinning up, this is not us defending like, oh, it's not that bad, you don't have to pay for it, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We're not commenting on any particular debate around air quotes pay to win mechanics. It is very obviously a competitive advantage to have more heroes to choose from. If you want to compete, you should probably pay for this. If you're not happy about that, that is a valid feeling. The framing that we are taking here is that if you are a primarily standard player and you want to know, is it even worth it to casually dip my toe into BGs right now, we're trying to say, yeah, it's still fun. And the quest mechanic mitigates the feelings that you might get when having a pair of bad heroes. And really what mitigated it for me when I played my EU Smurf was knowing that I'm not good enough to take advantage of the good heroes anyway, so like I'll just play it. Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
Because I have been playing my EU Smurf too, and like it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I'm not trying for Lobby Legends, right? Like I this is not my main mode. And the reason that I'm not investing is mainly just because like I don't know how much I'm going to play it once standard is in a better spot, right? Not that even and standard for me isn't even in a bad spot because I'm playing Quest Priest and I'm a degenerate human, but like it's but it's still something that like I'm playing it now because it's new and shiny. Am I going to be playing it in 2 weeks? Past experience says not enough to spend the $15 on it yet. If I don't feel like I'm having fun, if I don't feel like I'm not having fun without buying the extra 2 heroes. If I see that I'm playing it enough to get a bunch of the cosmetics, I'll just do the same thing that I did in Runeterra when I realized I was all the way down the Star Guardian path and just say, okay, I have spent enough time on this to justify putting the money in. If I feel like I'm playing it a lot more than I would have been even knowing that, then I'll say, okay, then I'll just do it because I know I'm going to play enough. I'm enjoying it, but I don't know if I'm there yet.
Yeah, and I kind of can't really know until balance changes happen, right?
Yep.
It's very easy presently to just sort of slide over to PGs and be like, well, this is kind of the more fun thing to do right now. But I always get consumed by deck building and just trying all kinds of stuff. Like that is really what gets me going, is coming up with a sweet new deck. And there is no deck building element in Battlegrounds, at least not from the way I think. And
you can make wacky comps that like don't normally show up on websites, and then you can be like the gem splitter selfless hero thing that I described earlier. Like that's kind of off meta deck building in a way of top fouring with a bunch of minions that aren't typically paired together. You can kind
But
of
that's
sort of do that.
something.
Yeah.
That's something you do when you're like, I should go 8th, but this somehow got me a top 4, right? You just
It
sort
doesn't
of made
feel like
something
deck building.
work.
It doesn't feel like you're clever. It feels like you barely scraped by.
I still think it can feel clever sometimes, but yeah, it's sort of like you just go heavy tempo, do something weird, catch people off guard, and manage to cheese in a, 3rd or 4th. But yeah, we'll see if I'm still saying like, hey, casually, I want to take a step back and still do some BGs, and on my iPad or whatever, rather than going all in on deck building once we get balance. We'll see. And as you say, if I find myself, halfway through the season and I've already completed the free track, well, maybe I'll just get the thing because clearly I'm playing a bunch of BGs. But but the Rukara that's amazing is already offered for free, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I guess my other thing is also that like, I know that TFT set 7.5 is starting soon too, and that's like the auto battler that I usually play when I have the time, right? So it's like, am I going to enjoy Battlegrounds to pull me away from that? Like once that starts up, because right now it's like the end of the TFT season and like it's in PB and I can't really play it a lot. So is that going to be there? I don't know, but I mean, it's up there right now. I like the first couple of days have been a lot better. I've had a lot more fun with Battlegrounds than I've had in months, easily.
Yeah. It's and I do like on the track, I do like that the mission stacking we've talked about a bunch of times, it's really, really player favorable, and that you can retroactively buy the past unlock stuff is important. Also, I think it's worth noting, I have talked to a few people that the feeling around the track versus how it's designed is a little different than what we're used to. We're used to on the core track, you get a bunch of gold, like whenever you level up, and you're constantly leveling up. Right, you'll be at level 100. It's weeks into an expansion, and you get levels every day, multiple times a day, and you just get gold thrown into the account. You don't use the rewards right away. You can, but many times you don't. I don't. But you're always making progress. BGs, you have 3 weeklies. When you do the weeklies, you're waiting for the next one, and then you get 10 experience when you hit top 4. It feels like, well, what do I do now while we're waiting for that next reset? Even though the math shows if you just do your weeklies, you will finish the track a month early. There won't be anything extra. There's no extra currency to give out in BGs. They're not planning on giving us runestones. There's no other currency to give us. There's just less stuff, and every level has a reward. There are no empty levels. There's no filler here. So it's gonna feel different. But if you're used to the core rewards track, this one feels sparse and slow, even though they're giving us something at every single level if you have the premium one, and they're making it easier than ever to finish, and you'll finish early, and then you'll have no rewards at the end. So, have had that come up a few times today, and I think it's worth reflecting on that it just feels so dramatically different from the core pass.
Yeah, and it's also that it's, like, if you're just doing the free one, those things are spread out pretty far.
Yep.
So you can go a while, right? And, like, it almost feels, and not even to bring back other bad memories, but like the first implementation of the constructed tavern pass.
That's the comparison that I heard today, and it could not be more different in terms of execution, but in terms of feeling, you can't say a feeling
in terms of
is
feeling.
wrong.
Right. Well, that's why they because they used to have like bigger rewards that were spaced out more, right? And then they made them more often and cut the size down so that you were getting, because it used to be like 100 or 150 or something like that, but you had to get a lot more XP gold, and then you had to get a bunch of XP to get there. And then people were saying, well, I can't get a pack because I'm waiting on my next level. It's so far away. And then they made more levels and then just have the size of it. You can't really do that with cosmetics per se, but also, there's no, you're not trying to earn gold to get packs with this either. So
by the way, you have it backwards. They had only 50 levels in the original rewards track, but they took forever to get. There were no in-between levels. So they actually cut them into thirds and then gave you a little bit at a time to give that feeling of progress.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the core concept of, that was the issue of big rewards at each level, spread them out and make you work for them and then make you wait. Now there's no currency in BGs, but it was that problem is the same problem that we have right now. And the feeling is the same for anyone that was around for it, even though I think it would be difficult for them to tune this any differently. There's just no equivalent currency to give out. It's just missing.
Yeah. It just is what it is, you know.
Yeah. So, worth noting that, but I think that it's worth, if you're okay with playing with 2 heroes, wait until you gauge your interest in the mode, decide maybe there will be a day in a month where you just binge a bunch of BGs, you have a bunch of stacked missions, you clear them all in one day, and then you just bulldoze through the track. Maybe that's how it ends up working. You don't have to buy it right now if you want all the stuff. So, strategy. Keep in mind, disclaimer, we're standard players. This is what we've learned the past 2 days just jamming a bunch of BGs.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about some of our sweet games earlier, mentioned a few of the different quests. I guess just to go around, do each of you have a favorite quest reward?
So,
Go ahead.
no, so before we do that, I want to list an essential resource. It's in the show notes. If you don't know about this, bgcurvesheet.com. bgcurvesheet.com, it is a spreadsheet run by, I think Minder Roots runs it.
Yeah, I'm
there are a
pretty sure
few
that's who
other
it is.
there are a few other people that are involved, but yeah, Minder Roots. It tells you what all the different leveling curves are, and it gives you advice as to which hero you should use them for. bgcurvesheet.com. We were originally going to talk about leveling curves. Episode's already running pretty long. None of us know what we're doing. The one that I've been going the most frequently is 3-on-3, because greed doesn't get punished at low MMR. So 3-on-3 is you buy on the first turn at 3 gold, you level on 4 gold, you sell and level on 5 gold, and then your quest hits when you roll your tavern on 6 gold on tier 3. I do that most of the time, and most of the time I top 4 because I don't feel like I get punished early, except sometimes when I do and then I die. But either way, if you want to know curve sheets, go check it out. Jake Urek in our chat has provided input along with Sleepy. It's a really good sheet. Favorite quest rewards? Pilfered Lamps is so much fun. There are a couple really good ones. Pilfered Lamps is the goofiest. It is, you only need 2 minions to triple. So, the turn, I got it 1 game. The turn that I got it, I got 3 triples that turn because I'm a pair gamer, because I'm not great at this mode. And then I won because you roll into a tavern. Like, I tripled into a Caligos. And then I rolled the tavern, there was 1 Caligos in the tavern. And I just had a golden one. It just happens all the time. It just randomly happens. It's really, really fun. And it's a pretty rare offering. I had to work pretty hard to get it, and as soon as I did, the power spike was crazy. Super fun. Really enjoyable. Don't know if it's the best competitively. Probably isn't. Probably too hard to get. The best ones competitively are probably Mirror Shield and Stolen Gold. But Pilfered Lamps has been the one where I played it and I was like, I want to do this again. I like this a lot. It's fun.
I mean, I'm just going to go for Wondrous Winston Ball whenever I see it, because that's just the kind of person I am. Like,
Of course.
you know, I mean, it's just like, I mean, because I'm the kind of person that will take the why not buckets in duels, right? So, like, there was one shop where he just gave me, the shop was like 6 brands. I felt bad for Swebe that I got apparently all the brands that she's always looking for. But, you know, I mean, and that one game where I got it, you know, it worked out. Like, I was able to come up with like the most ridiculous Leaper comp I've ever seen in my life. I did like the what was it? Cooked Book with pirates.
Oh yeah,
So,
Cookbook.
Cookbook-
That's the one where every time you buy a minion, you give it +1/+1, and then this gets bigger. It upgrades.
Yes.
So
yes.
every purchase you make gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like your Bob's Tavern becomes a Nomi for everything.
Yeah, it gets nuts. And I think I had that with Denathrius, and I had like another thing that was buffed, like all of your, like, I don't know if it was like +15 at the start of the turn or something ridiculous like that.
Staff
too.
of Domination.
Yeah. Staff Origination. Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's
raw
dumb.
Yeah.
stats ones can really hit you hard in the mid game, where it's
Yeah.
just like maybe they found a path to it that was just able to be completed fairly quickly, and then suddenly they just have this massive wave of stats and start chunking people for 15. So I feel like those and like the stolen gold are ones to kind of watch
Yeah.
out for in the mid game. My favorite one is still just gonna be the double end of turn effects. I love
Ghastly
that kind of
Mask, yeah,
thing.
yeah. And
At some
and I
point, I
like
would
how
love
it
to get that on
dynamically.
Rag.
Rag. That's pretty goofy. Yeah. Wait. So that's your hero power. Oh man, that's big.
Your hero power counts for that. Oh, that's dirty.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that used to be Rag's buddy, right?
it would
And I
double
love
and then
that.
triple.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it feels like that's what I like about the quest. It feels like build your own buddy, where it varies who gets what, and different heroes have different synergies, but it's just not the same thing each game. And yeah, that sounds quite fun on Rag. I also love what I really like about Ghastly Mask. It's harder to get. It gives you a random tier 6, I think, or tier 5 or tier 6 each time, dynamically, based on what tribes are legal, that has an end of turn effect. I've seen it give Lightfang Enforcer, Murkai, Frenzied Fellbat, Charlga. I like that it's different each time, because even if you get Ghastly Mask every time, it's not going to play the same each game, because they just hand you a minion that's different that at least dictates what you do for a little while. Not forever, but for a little while.
And it makes sure that you have something to do, right? So like that, it's not just going to give that to you, but you don't have any end of turn effects, and like you're not going to have anything. Like it gives you, like you may not want it, like you may not be in demons by the time that you get it. You get there if it's offering you Fellbat, but at least you can get. It gives you a path to take, and it's not going to leave you with no end of turn minions that you just spent your whole game building this quest up to.
I will say though, Fellbat, less of a good thing to have doubled, because what you want is to get extra stats for what you consume. If you're like a full demon board, doing Fellbat's effect twice doesn't actually matter, because there's not enough possible
You
spaces
run out of
in the tablet.
snacks. You run out of snacks.
Yeah.
So the solution, Arana. You got to be Arana Mask Fellbat, because Arana's new hero power always has 7 minions in the shop, even when you pull one out. She has never-ending snacks. Infinite snacks. So you need to double the Fellbat with Arana, so then you just keep eating and eating. It's okay.
Wait, does she refill as they eat?
Well,
I
now you
hope
have some
so.
science to do.
I don't know. Step 1,
Well-
be Arana. Step 2, get Mask.
What I think is kind of the cooler thing is the new direction they've gone with demons, where there's the demon that buffs stuff in the shop.
Legion Overseer is a super cool card. Really, really good card, too. Really good.
Yeah, been super enjoying that. I had a game where, oh god, it was like I had a golden Legion Overseer, and then I also got it swaps between evens and odds, and they have +6/+6 in the shop. And then I had a Fellbat and some demons, including Impulsive Trickster. So the demons were just getting massive, because all the minions in Bob's Tavern had +4/+4 from the Golden Overseer, and then anything that was even or odd depending on the turn had another +6/+6. So whereas normally that would be kind of like somewhat useful if you actually had to buy the minions, it's always useful when you're just eating them, because you don't care what they are. You just eat all the minions in the shop, and the fact that they're buffed in the shop is really, really nice for it. So I like the way some of these kind of quest things that buff stuff in the shop is helpful for the new kind of direction of demons.
I really appreciate the volume of snack synergy that was baked into this patch. There's a lot of clever detail stuff and a lot of focus on the snacks, and it speaks to me.
And I mean, then you get Snicker snacks, and you get to do that twice.
Right? It's a very snack-based meta. We've talked about this before. I'm going to keep beating this joke right into the ground.
I'm still mad we're not getting that Iron Chef expansion for Constructed, by the way.
Seriously. It would have been so appropriate here. Maybe that's the
Ugh.
mini set. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as
I would
far
say
as
one
quest
other
rules-
thing, like don't sleep on the smoking gun if it's easy to complete, because
Yeah.
sometimes that your minions have +5 attack. Like if you've got a decent tempo board and that's easy to complete, sometimes you can just knock a couple people out with just like that extra attack in the mid game before, you know, other people can kind of get going with their quests.
It's worth noting that, generally speaking, not all the time, but generally speaking, I think probably the most competitive thing to do most of the time is just pick the easiest reward to finish. And sometimes they can get really goofy, but Mirror Shield and Stolen Gold, a big part of why they're so powerful, and they're both powerful. Mirror Shield makes a random minion to shot +4/+4 in Divine Shield, super gross with Murlocs, obviously insane with Murlocs, because you just end up with Megasaur, Toxin equivalent. But they're attached to the easiest conditions because they're not viewed as difficult. I imagine that the first passive balance will probably put most rewards pretty close in difficulty versus like how hard you have to work to get it versus where it ends up, with the exception of a couple of the rare ones. Maybe Pilfered Lamp stays pretty difficult. Staff of Origination probably stays pretty difficult. Wheel of Yogg-Saron, I imagine, gets attached to the harder conditions. But some of the ones attached to the easy conditions, they're just online so fast. They account for your hero's armor tier too. The first game I played on the stream yesterday, I had Unholy Duo with Murlocs and I think it was Dragons, where another hidden body. Every time you do the condition, you discover a minion of your tier, repeatable endlessly. It was attached to play 3 Murlocs or Dragons, I think. So I got Murlocs going. First of all, it's not every 3 you buy, it's every 3 you play, which means Tad and Lookout and so on and so forth all count. And I got a Golden Brand in that game because I kept discovering 5s because Unlikely Duo was broken. Second of all, the animation on another hidden body is 10 seconds of lobby time.
Yeah, it takes forever.
You wait for the full quest pop-up. You wait to discover. It is 10 seconds. Even in an 80-second lobby, you only get 8 of those. And I had a Golden Brand, and I picked a Golden Lookout. What do you even do? I got first anyways. That's not important here. But what's important is I ran out of time with 10 gold every single turn. Every turn.
Yeah, and as far as easy is concerned, like, be careful about how you're evaluating anything that says play X, where X is not just any minion. Like, if it's saying battle cry minions or a particular tribe, there are times when I've thought that was easier than it was and just never got offered any. Right? So, like, play 9 battle cry minions is gonna take you a while, and it could take you, and it's hard to predict. Like, if you get something that's like spend 65 gold, right? Like, you have a reasonable idea of like how long that's going to take. Like, you can juice that if you get a couple like blue shells, or you get the pirate who you sell for 3 gold. Like, you can spend a little bit more on your turn, but you kind of have an idea that, like, 10 gold is a turn once you get past. Maybe it's like there's a couple, you're like 7 gold, so maybe it's like, the first one's like 15, whatever. But like, if you're getting like play 9 battlecry minions, you just might not get them, or they might not do it. They might be extremely tempo negative for you if they don't do what you're looking for. So just be aware of that when you're evaluating like how easy, because I get baited all the time, and it feels bad when you don't even when you lose the game without even having finished your quest yet.
Yeah, it's I all day on the first day I was taking the bait of just always picking the far right option of the hardest one with the coolest reward and then dying. With Denathrius, I got to do that twice. I got to die with the 2 coolest rewards not completed. But being able to actually do the thing is pretty important, and a air quotes worse hero power that you finish on turn 5 versus a better when you finish on turn 10, you have to account for the snowballing effect of those 5 turns. And that's where I wasn't sold on Mirror Shield up front. But then you complete on turn 5 and you just buy the Divine Shield thing, and all of a sudden your tavern always has a 10/10 Bronze Warden in it. An equivalent of a huge Bronze Warden. Just buy it, and then just win a bunch of combats and level when you want to level and do what you want to do, and then pivot to Murlocs and then win. That's it. You're done.
Yeah. Jay Carrick in chat is saying that he completed a quest on turn 13 earlier today. It was play 4 battlecry minions.
Man.
I would be done with the game for the day, probably.
So The other thing I want to note, Ritual Dagger, which gives Death Rattle minions when they die +4/+4 permanently. Granted, Death Rattles count, so grab your Leapfroggers, because whatever they leap onto also get a permanent +4/+4.
That's
I
gross.
didn't put that together. Okay, interesting.
It's when a minion triggers a Death Rattle on the way out is what it looks for. It does not look for the base text, looks for granted text. As long as it
That is
triggers a
different
Death
than
Rattle.
how it works in Constructed.
Correct.
Because
Well,
in Constructed, it has to have Death Rattle written on the card. Yeah.
it's Leapfrogger would be broken and constructed. It's most people can't survive 300 damage hits. It'd be better than Denathrius.
You just silence it.
That's Starfish would be bad in BGs. You don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah, it pretty much would, yeah.
So, top 10 heroes right now. You seen this list?
No,
Ysera,
actually.
Flurgle, Murloc Holmes, Cookie, Togwaggle, Alakir, Galewing, Patchwork, Ticketus, Alexstrasza. So
Patchwork.
So they buffed him to 60 health. This is top 50% MMR since the patch. Top 50%. This is not top 20%, not top 1%, whatever. Remember, we're going from the perspective of I don't normally play this mode, which I think most of us fit into this.
Yeah.
Most of these give you free stuff. Ysera, free dragons, super busted, still the best hero in the game. Flurgle, free Murlocs, very powerful. Murloc Holmes, free gold. Cookie the Cook, free minions. Heisper and Togwaggle, all the minions you can carry, quite literally. Alakir, free keywords. Galewing, go 3-on-3, and just press the button for Discover a Minion every single time. Just keep doing that. With Togwaggle, by the way, you go 3-on-3, then press the button on turn 4, and then you're fine. I'm assuming that Patchwork, in particular, is because it lets you power level and get your quest online and not be dead.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what armor tier he's in, but 60 health plus armor, like, that's a lot. That's a lot to punch through.
I think the only one of these I did Murloc Holmes, but I was bad at it. Other than that, I think Ticketus is the only one of these that I played as.
Murloc Holmes gets a lot better if using Deck Tracker.
Yes. Though also the first few turns, it's not too hard to figure out.
Well, yeah, because it
You know,
tells you what tribe they are, because they only have like 1 or 2 minions, and you can kind of guess.
When it's turn 2, and I press the button, and it shows me Alley Cat or Hyena, and I mouse over and they have 2 beasts, it's probably not Hyena. Also, on occasion, you will see Red Herring, the minion Red Herring, which is not in BGs. Because you're
That's
investigating,
hilarious.
and it is a Red Herring.
Oh, that's
Some
hilarious.
people are asking, is that a bug? No, it is a fish.
No, it's not a bug. It's a fish. Yeah, exactly.
It's a fish. It is intentional. It is not a bug. It is very funny.
Oh, that's
A
hilarious.
lot of people haven't gotten that, but I'm glad that they did that. I bet that was Mitchell. He always does that sort of thing. So, also, Alexstrasza is on this list. Dragons are good again for a bunch of reasons. Terragosa being most of them. But also, Sinstone Graveyard. The secret that whenever you discover a card, get a second copy. Do yourself a favor. Finish that quest on tier 4 and then level to 5. You will discover 2 dragons, and then you will get 2 copies of each of them, which means you will triple something, if not multiple somethings. And when you get a triple, then you will play Discover a tier 6. You will get 2 of those. You see where I'm going here. Very powerful. Very good.
That didn't even occur to me that it was from the triple rewards too. I guess it would have. Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about terms of like, the Murlocs or whatever. But yeah, wow.
From the hero power from triple rewards. Also, I did this yesterday on stream. Sinstone with Elise. Her hero power says discover a minion from your current tavern tier, and then this costs 1 more next time. Go ahead and get your Sinstone Secret Sinstone online, and then press that button on tier 6. Get 2 6s. Next turn, 2 gold for 2 6s. Still a good deal. I pressed it all the way up to 8.
Wow.
I got 16 6s.
with Bigglesworth, that's probably gross too, because you usually get Goldens later in the game.
It's yeah.
So you get
Secret
two
Sinstone is very
Goldens, then you get
powerful.
two more, then you get two copies of the whatever you discover off those Goldens that you just got off the hero power. That's pretty gross.
Yeah, and I will note, Daryl's pretty bad right now, just because the stat scaling isn't enough. But there is one quest reward called Anima Bribe that whenever you sell a minion, throw its stats onto a minion in the tavern. If you can Daryl Anima Bribe, then you have fixed Daryl. You have to get that specific reward. But if you do, every hat always lands. You're basically like turning your tavern into like a Felbat that just slurps up everything because all the stats end up on one minion.
Right, because even if they miss from Daryl's hats, those will transfer on.
You just sell the stats
wow.
back. Yep.
Yep.
But
But-
yeah, animations.
Yeah. Though I guess really, I think we all have to agree that the best quest is the friends along the way.
I
Not
mean,
because of the quest, just because it is.
it works out for that figure of speech. So there's still like hero balance overall. I think there's still some opportunity, but at least at our level, it feels like it's mitigated just because the quest seems so much more important. As far as comps, Beast right now appears to be number one. It's worth noting HS Replay splits out Beast and Leapfrogger. I think this is a bit of over archetyping. They also do the same thing for Scam Pirates and APM Pirates. I don't know if they're able to effectively differentiate between the two. Because if you look at the Beast comps, if you go to the website and you look at the compositions for Beasts, the Leapfrogger comp has a Goldrinn in it. So it's just checking to see if there's a Leapfrogger or not. The best Beast builds right now appear to be the ones that don't have Leapfrogger, that end up with, Macaw, Goldrinn, whatever, but that, I don't know, I think it's just over-indexed, over-archetyped. But
I mean,
either way,
you're still doing death rattle things with Macaw. It's just a matter of what you're Macawing, really.
right. But Leapfrogger is more popular and worse right now, at least according to this data. Mechs are doing very well. Murlocs are doing very, very well. Dragons are doing well. Menagerie still really hasn't landed, but it's also, remember, it's a catch-all tribe. That anything they can't figure out where to archetype it at, throw it in Menagerie. So it means whoever didn't get a comp is being listed as Menagerie right now. But overall, Naga and Quillboar don't look all that strong. APM Pirates, they also have a weird build in here, but it doesn't look all that great. I think a lot of people are trying to APM Pirates with another hidden body, which would be good if the animations happen in time, but you really can't do it. Outside of, between Beast and Naga, we're talking less than one full place of difference. It's a relatively tight band right now, but Beast, Mechs, Murlocs, Dragons are kind of the four that stand out, and Naga, Quillboar are a little bit lower. Yeah, what Jake Rex saying in chat. Beasts are best with Stolen Gold. Stolen Gold is good with being a BG's player, so Beasts are best. Just a question of what lines up with easiest to hit and the best payoff.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. Because you just hit, Rivendare and Goldrinn, or Rivendare and Macaw, something like that.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Feelings?
It's fun. It's it feels to me like exactly what I thought. I felt like it was going to be like Augments in TFT, and it is. It's making the games feel different when before they felt very more samey depending on what your hero was. So you can kind of mix and match the hero power with something else, and it will sometimes send you down a different road. And that's also kind of important to learn the game better, because it kind of gets you to think about things differently than you otherwise would. Like if you always force, Leapfrog or whatever, right? And you don't ever really go down another road, it kind of it incentivizes you to think about other routes to winning and how you would make that work. And sometimes that's like, maybe there's a comp that fits really neatly into it, and sometimes you just kind of end up with a Franken comp, and that's fine too. And the fact that you can make a Franken comp is something that I feel like me, at least with my knowledge of the game, which is admittedly limited, has been missing. Like that ability to kind of make up a comp as you go along, which doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. Whereas before it was hard to kind of luck into a comp or discover a comp along the way because you just get blown out by one of the standard comps. And there aren't that many comps in BGs that are, I mean, you just showed the slide. There's like 8 or 9, right? Total. So
That are being bucketed and recognized, yeah.
yeah. I mean, other than like I got a bunch of minions that don't do anything. That's the comp I usually get.
Menagerie. Yeah, I don't know.
have
I
other
have no
words for
idea,
it,
by
but
the way.
I have
I have
other
no-
words for what that comp is, but I don't want to make Edel have to figure out how to bleep things, so we won't
Yeah,
do that.
she just put a disclaimer at the beginning of last episode. It was fine, much faster. But Menagerie as well. Like, there's that Menagerie reward that gives your minions plus attack for how many minion
Yes.
types? Yeah. Is that
got that
good?
one.
I haven't been brave enough to try it.
So I got it on Denathrius when I also had the double end of turn effects, so it was a lot of
Oh.
attack.
That was probably pretty good.
But I think in general, you want to do it when you can get a bunch of divine shields. Since it's only scaling the attack, you need to be able to have
Yeah.
like just fully shielded Menagerie. So like Bristleback, some kind of mech with divine shields, maybe the Naga that you can glow scale to have permanent divine shield. I think you're just looking for ways of getting a bunch of shields so that that can make up for the fact that you're scaling just attack and
Yeah.
not health.
Yeah, you probably have to work an amalgam into that comp somehow just to get the extra buff for whatever you're
Yeah.
missing. Yeah.
Well, and it can go above the 5 tribes, so you probably want Amalgam anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
for sure you don't want Tea Master Theotar because that card sucks. I really wanted that to be good, but you have to work so
so late.
hard for a half
Yeah.
functional Light Fang Enforcer. Like, it's just not worth it. I think the numbers could be doubled. I still don't know if it would be enough.
Yeah, it's super weird because it's only 3 minions tops.
It probably needs to be like maybe like it turns into a major Doma where it does it once at end of turn and then once more for every no tribe you've played, where you get to target it a little
I can see
better.
that.
But otherwise, like, it's just, I tried it once. It just does nothing slowly. It's,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm looking at the rewards, trying to think of any that I don't really understand. Teal, Tiger, Sapphire. Minions in the tavern have +1/+1 for each time it was refreshed this turn. I think I've seen this once. Like, I guess the dream is to do the refreshing elemental thing.
Yeah. I think that's what you'd
But-
want to do because then you're just
but is
then
that
you're just
even-
then you're just getting a lot of refreshes.
Is that
I mean,
even
if you're
that good?
already doing elementals, right?
Yeah.
Then you're already doing that. Like if you're already like on a path to doing that, then and maybe it's like play X elementals or whatever to get you there. But like that's the only reason that I mean maybe if you're doing APM pirates and you're getting a ton of gold and you're refreshing a lot looking for pirates, maybe that would work.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
Chad is saying magnetic sometimes, but also if you get Fellbat and then you
Yeah,
re-roll 10 times. Okay. I hadn't
exactly.
thought of that.
yeah, this is the cool thing with all of the buff shop things is that it's just casually, oh yeah, good with demon snack stuff. So even if you miss, it's a hit.
Like many condiments. Yeah. It's like the broccoli and artichoke dip of prizes. Rewards. Whatever.
Broccoli
Well-
and artichoke dip?
It's
That's
good.
a thing? I thought spinach and artichoke dip.
Or it's yeah, right. It's
Okay.
green, whatever. I don't eat a lot of vegetables. I think that we're on our last legs here, so I'm gonna hit the outro while I'm like misidentifying vegetables, because we're about to turn into vegetables here if we aren't there already. Fun show. We have many folks to like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website, coincassette.com. You can find our contact info, our show notes, and our Patreon information. You can support our show monetarily at patreon.com/coincassette. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.coinconceit.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconceit.com. Right into our email at coinconceit@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at coinconceit. Like, share, and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/coinconceit. If you like some CC swag, head on over to our shop at shop.coinconceit.com. Big thanks to our producers, Number Theory, Doshi K, Crash Cat, B-Squatch, David P, Faded Black, Walu, Jeremy T, Bottlecaps, and Lucky. Big thanks to our subs during the live show, Nate Dogg and Mr. Bungalow. Coin Concedes. Is anyone besides me ready? Because I've got a lot. No, actually, I want to...
I've got a quick one. So I'm going to coin concede to Maureen because she grabbed me while I was not queuing on standard last night and said, I need you to, I want you to, watch over my shoulder while I climb. So she was trying, she got to Diamond 5 like a while ago, and then she kind of had a couple months where she didn't play, and she's been kind of struggling to get back there just because it takes so many games, and she doesn't play nearly as much as I do. But she was at like gold 2, and she had a deck that, and I looked at it, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that's 30 card spooky mage with fire sails and first flames. And she's like, this is the deck I know, and this is the deck I'm playing. And I said, okay. And
Respect.
She knows what she likes, and she likes what she knows. And got there, by the time that she was starting to fall asleep, she got up to plat 1, so she's able to kind of resume the project this month, and then just kind of taking it 1 month at a time and just getting one tier forward to put the time in. But I was really proud, and she didn't really need that much. Like, she mostly just wanted me to be making sure she wasn't doing anything like dumb, but she was mostly doing all that stuff on her own. And turns out Fire Sail's pretty good against the aggro druids that she was seeing. So, what do I know? But yeah, so I was really proud of her for getting there, and hopefully she'll get herself back there and then just kind of stay at that. Hopefully, the goal is to get her to legend at some point, but just getting back to Diamond 5 and playing there consistently will be. I know she can do it. It's just a matter of, putting the time in, which, she's got, unlike me, apparently she's got other things going on that she's not spending all that time playing. So.
Edelweiss.
So I want to coin concede to Bunny Hopper, who was very kind to give me a raid earlier in the week and said, yeah, this is the perk of being a good caster, which I thought was very nice. So coin concede to Bunny Hopper for that. And then to you as well, Hat, for kind of forcing me to take a break. Next week, I'm going to be visiting my sister, taking care of my nephew. This is kind of a trial run before she moves back here, and then I'll be kind of taking care of my nephew full time because she and her husband are both lawyers, so they desperately are in need of childcare. And yeah, it would have been a little bit challenging to do the mobile setup for next week. So
We'll have a special guest next week. I'll edit the show. It'll be fun. It'll be fine. Yeah. So, and coin conceits for me, I've got a whole bunch. Okay. So first of all, Too Much Mana in our coin concede Discord had a pretty incredible comment that I'm going to read to you all now. Posted in the general chat, had a citrate / vasovagal, I think like fainting reaction, like passing out. I don't know. For the first time while donating blood via Phreesis this weekend, aside from being a bit scary during the moment, fortunately came at the end, so they still collected a full unit of plasma and a small unit of platelets despite having to cut me off early. The phlebotomist said I should probably take some Tums or eat chips during the procedure next time to balance out my salt levels and keep it from happening again. Since I was catching up on coin conceit during the donation, I can now confirm that the podcast is so level-headed, non-reactionary, and calm most of the time, it might actually lower your Hearthstone-related salt levels and blood pressure too much, and to be careful in what activities you attempt at the same time as listening. One of the best compliments we have ever received.
Oh,
that we are a medically inadvisable amount of anti-salt. So that's why I had
people should be. Does that mean that people should also be eating chips while listening to the podcast?
You can't. That's why I had to crank up the salt during Edelweiss's dramatic reading. We had to make sure that nobody passed out. I'm doing us all a favor. So you're welcome, Edelweiss. In addition, everyone that came to watch my stream yesterday. We did a sponsored stream, played some BGs, played some Raid Shadow Legends. It was an experience, but thank you everyone that tuned in, that did the tutorial, really helps me out directly. It was nice to be able to justify doing a stream when normally I just don't have the time, energy for it, but it really made a lot more sense this way. And so the turnout was good. I'm really glad everyone was able to make it. It was a lot of fun to be able to do 6 hours in the middle of the day. I was exhausted. I don't know how people do that full time. Ben Hearthstone, he did not ask me, because I would have told him you don't have to do this. But he's doing a giveaway to get me to 10,000 Twitter followers, which we're pretty close to, and just said a bunch of nice things and said to enter the contest, you have to reply to this and say nice things. I guess that's one way to coerce a bunch of compliments. I did not ask him to do this, but it was just so pleasant of him and so nice. And so, Ben, I really appreciate it. You didn't have to do that. Nobody should ever feel compelled to say something nice about me. I think you should revise the contest. Like, they can just say whatever they want about me, and then you can enter them, but you'd probably get a lot more entries. Don't want to deal with all that stuff. Paul, I forget his last name, but he was a very Twitter visible QA tester, moved on to a new company that we'll find out about on Monday. So Paul, thanks for everything. Good luck next one. Blister Guy, he's been doing these 2 to 3 minute This Week in Hearthstone recaps of his own week. They're little YouTube shorts. They're funny. They're well edited. I really enjoyed them. Yeah, a lot of coin conceits this week. And that's going to do it. So keep calm. And roll for early Mirror Shield. And if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
All right. Stopping recording.
Casual 2 hour 15-minute podcast.
Oops.
What did you expect?
Nothing different.
We'll trim it as needed. We'll get some trimmage.
It was good. It was good.
A high comedy episode. A lot of good comedy.
Yeah, we had fun.
I should have some solid choices for Stinger.
I think you have plenty to choose from.
You'll have plenty.
You could do a whole blooper episode if you want to.
This is definitely like audio tartar. Like, it is high quality raw audio. Okay. Get your files.
Yep, I am
Oh yeah.
exploding. My
Also, by the way, if you need this, I have it.
A rabbit hole worth exploring?
If you need that, I'll send that to you. I'm gonna send that to you right now. I want to make sure you have access to that. Because you can, like, we want to keep in what Steve said, but you can boop that in right after Steve says it if you want to do a squelch call out. I love how this is the gift that keeps on giving. Daniel's gonna quit Hearthstone. He's just gonna leave.
He's just gonna play Magic. I mean, that's what he does, right?
That is true. So Blizzard will be fine.
Yeah. Oh my god!
I mean-
Again, I said this in the Discord, but those new stickers in Magic Arena today, of I don't know who they are.
Amazing.
Yeah, this. I'll put a link to it in the chat. But yeah, it's like the cat, the woman screaming at cat meme, but as Magic stickers.
It's
Absolutely
Jaya and
amazing.
Karn.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so
No.
good.
it is.
Oh,
It is
don't.
amazing.
Don't give me a reason to go back to her.
Let me find.
Oh
you found it.
God.
Well, you have the picture right now. That's good enough. You don't need to open the client. You've got everything you need.
Good point.
Let's see if I got this here.
Yeah, it was.
That's Maureen's favorite meme of all time. So I just sent that to her.
It's a good one.
She has no idea who any of the characters are, but I sent it to her anyway. She laughed.
I can't handle going for like top 1K for draft anymore. Or was it 1200? It was 1200 to qualify. The fact that I did that for some number of months in the first place, I'm just like, how?
Yeah, I fell off of it too. I just can't like grind in it, and I don't enjoy
So-
constructed in Magic that much. So
Well, that was the
Fair.
weird
I-
bit as well, right? Is I would play draft and then qualify for a standard event.
I put the image on the screen so everyone can see it. It is very funny.
it is hilarious. It is just it's too good. I mean, I just like any like variation of that meme is just glorious. So
This is great. We went long enough that I just about finished this.
There you go. Oh, is that your food substitute?
Uh-huh.
how's that working out?
Good.
I remember now that you're doing the about as close to the Bodikus ideal as possible. It's like, as long as I don't die and it tastes like nothing, probably what I want.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. For lunch, I made myself a grilled cheese and dipped it in tomato soup. So it's not like all the time.
Okay,
But-
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
There's some comfort there. I feel the comfort.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been big on the grilled cheese tomato soup this week. I forgot or just kind of spaced on the fact that soup is hella cheap.
Yeah. Sure
It's
is.
like
It's
$1.50 for a can of soup.
Yeah, depending on if you get the stuff that's just like condensed or you actually get like the
No, I,
the can that you heat up. But
Condensed,
there's a solidity tax you pay on food because most people want to eat something solid. So if you're willing to go liquid, like, it's a lot cheaper.
yeah.
yeah.
And Campbell, like, I would not be surprised if a lot of the nation just runs on Campbell's because of how efficient of a product it is.
And it's slightly
So
more
much,
better than
yeah.
ramen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you can just put it in a bowl with a cup of water, microwave for 2.5 minutes. Boom.
Yeah.
That's like 2 meals for me.
Yeah, I mean, when I was having some stomach problems a couple weeks ago, I was just living on like double noodle. That was it. Like, I don't feel like my stomach. I don't know what else is gonna set off my stomach, but I know double noodle it can handle. So double noodle every
Yeah.
meal, and it was fine.
I can't get any of the meat ones because they won't be kosher meat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and like there's only like tabachnik, which is frozen and also terrible. And yeah. I remember those days when because like my house when I was growing up was kosher, but as soon as we left that, like as soon as we walked over the threshold, anything went. And so yeah, we'd be as long as we looked at the ingredients, there wasn't any pork or meat in it, then we were okay. And then that's when I finally, got my own place. I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna give up pork and shellfish, and then everything else is fine, and just kind of like break. Just because it was so like we did a kosher butcher for a while. It was so expensive.
Yeah,
It was
It's-
brutal.
Yeah.
I cook vegan most of the time.
Yeah,
Lot
that's
cheaper
smart.
than kosher.
Yeah, because the kosher meats are just like, I mean, it was good, but it was just like, it was so much, and yeah,
It's basically like Rach is lactose intolerant and only eats kosher meat. So
oh yeah,
And-
yeah,
we don't have a ton of like cookware for meat anyways. So I just
Yeah.
always cook
it's just easier.
vegan for her, and then I have something else so the leftovers last her a while. And yeah, when I'm like out or whatever, I'll eat non-kosher things.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like when I would go out to like breakfast with my dad at McDonald's. That was like the treat, right? Like it's like, okay, we're getting whatever. I don't care what
Whoa,
it
whoa,
is as
whoa.
long as it has bacon on it, and that was like,
Wendy's. We don't do McDonald's. Come
The
on.
Big
I don't
Bacon
think Wendy's
Classic.
had breakfast when I was
Yo, I
that
could
age-
go for
when I
one of
was that
those
age.
right this moment.
yeah.
All right, y'all.
Yeah.
We're going to bring the
All
stream
right.
down. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, uploading my audio. I'm hungry now for some reason. Snack meta.
Can't imagine
I
why.
wonder why.
So we're going to bring the stream down. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here.
Bye,
play some
friends.
games.
I will. Don't you worry. Bye.
Bye.